Welcome, everybody, to the Breachers VRML Season 3 EU Top 8. My name is Nightfire with two E's. I am joined by my co-caster, Gibular Bob, to dive into the best of the best the EU has to offer. Bob, how are you feeling today?
Super excited. First of all, welcome back over here to Breachers. I know you were over doing some Vale Grand Finals last weekend, so it's nice to have you here again. And we had last weekend a fantastic EU Challenger Cup. I mean, it was non-stop action every single round. So I think we're in for a tremendous top 8 today.
Yeah, and for those that are tuning in and maybe unaware of how we get to this point this afternoon, I'll run you through it. It's been 13 weeks of regular season gameplay where these teams have competed against each other in our regular season ladder. We have taken the top 7 teams from that regular season ladder and automatically qualified them into this top 8 single elimination tournament. Like Bob said, last weekend we had the Challenger Cup, which qualified in that 8th team to play. And now that 8th team has a tall order in their matchup this afternoon, going up against the number 1 seed in the EU region, Acer EU. We'll talk more about that game in a moment because that's our second game of the afternoon. But today, we dive into our first matchup of the top 8. And the way the top 8 works is that over the course of today and tomorrow, we will be playing matches. We have Group A and Group B. Group A consists of seeds 4, 5, 1, and 8, all battling up against each other, and then seeds 2, 7, 3, and 6 battling tomorrow. And so the format for this afternoon is, again, a single elimination tournament. So that means that Nexus and Formula 3 EU, the teams you're seeing beneath us here, are going to be battling up first in about roughly 15 minutes time, Bob. We're not that far away from our first EU Top 8 series. It's on the cusp. And so I want to dive into your thoughts on Nexus and Formula 3 EU. I want to talk about the stats. I want to kind of get your impression on how you think this first series of the afternoon is going to go.
Definitely, this is going to be one of the closest matchups you're going to see because these teams are so close in skill level. I know at Nexus, F3, two very solid teams this entire season, and that's very evident with their 4 and 5 finishes there. Now, Nexus, that's 7-5 win-loss, and F3 5-4. So Nexus has a bit better numbers over F3, but I think we could absolutely see F3 bring in some good firepower, good strategy here against Nexus. Remember, this postseason, we are playing with overtime on, number 1, so we're not going to have any ties. And number 2, these teams are going to be playing in a brand new meta that we had very recently added to the game. So it's not going to play the same way as the Season 2 finals that we had. And I think that might be one of the most exciting parts.
I mean, I think maybe we had 1 week or 2 weeks of regular season that included the new meta, and then we went right into postseason with these teams. And yeah, like you said, there's been this break, right, though, Bob, where they've had, especially these teams who haven't been playing in the Challenger Cup, they've had, at this point, maybe, a month to work with the new update in reality, and practice it completely off screen.
Right.
So we could see today some really new and innovative ways of working with this meta that are coming from the top squads in both EU and NA. And I'm curious to see, does EU think different than NA? Are we going to see different meta strategies unfolding this afternoon between this region and then North America, which is, again, later today. That starts at 2:30 p.m. PST. We'll be diving into that pre-show, 3 p.m. PST, 6 Eastern, for the start of the first game. So a lot of Breachers action today, Bob. And again, to that point, this is only the first game of 2 that we have this afternoon. Our second game is Acer EU in Chaotic. And I think if we were to poll the fine folks at home in chat, what's your interpretation? How do you think that vote would go?
I had the opportunity to talk with Chaotic and Acer EU, and so there's definitely the prediction there that it's going to go in favor of Acer EU. But hey, Chaotic has been practicing. They've been scrimming every day. Perhaps there's some opportunity here for them to go in and lock in and maybe put a dent in Acer's armor or potentially knock them out. But Acer have been solid the entire season. They went completely undefeated. They did have, I think, 2 ties, but you know, I've said this before, I'll say it again, they are doing better than their NA counterpart. They're sitting at the top at the end of the season. They are absolutely capable of taking it all the way to the end this time.
Yeah, and I do see some people in chat asking what's the format, best of 3, best of 5. I didn't mention it. The series today for the top 8 are best of 3. And again, a reminder, it's a single elimination, right, Bob? So if you lose today, your season is over. It is very much do or die this afternoon. On top of all of this, there is also the obvious pursuit of the prize pool, right? These players hunting for what is $1,000 in cash on the line for first place in the EU region, and that is nothing to scoff at, Bob. I mean, that's added pressure that they certainly haven't been feeling all regular season long. So, I mean, let's go back to our first series, F3 EU. Who do you see working through the pressure the best? And then maybe ultimately your prediction on who you think is going to come out on top for our first map.
Well, let's see. I mean, we're looking at a diamond team versus a gold team. So maybe Nexus may be the favorite here moving in. I did see they beat Blaze EU. They've had their previous tie was actually against Acer EU. So I think there's potential here for Nexus to walk away with that edge. But F3 EU, again, not a team to scoff at. Because they also tied against Acer EU.
The two ties that Acer EU has are these two teams here this afternoon.
Right. So, actually, Formula 3 EU had more rounds than Acer did, of 17 to 16. So, I think there's a very good case here that F3 could be the winner.
Interesting. Well, I think regardless, our first series is going to be an exciting one that you are not going to want to miss. We also have exclusive interviews. Like Bob was saying, we dove in to the minds of these teams. We interviewed the chaoticness of these squads and got a good perspective on how they operate. And so before we dive into our first game of the afternoon, I'll throw my prediction down and say that I think Nexus is going to come out on top. I'll rely on the seeding for my prediction for our first game, and I'll go with Acer EU to make sure that I go with the crowd pick for the second series of the day. So those are mine. Bob, what was your second? Are you going Acer EU for that second series?
I'm gonna root for Chaotic for the underdog. I'm gonna go for the underdog pick.
We want to see the dark horse, the Challenger Cup winner come through. Yeah, well, I don't think it's ever happened.
Somebody made the note that, you know, wouldn't it be really cool to see the Challenger Cup winner go all the way to the finals? I want to see that. I want to see that this season.
Yeah, I think I love a good upset. So that'll be on the cards for Bob's prediction. But we are going to cut to these exclusive interviews that you will be able to catch on this YouTube channel after this stream is live. So at some point next week that we will be debuting all these VODs out so you can rewatch these. But we're happy to dive in and chat with Formula 3 EU and Nexus. So be sure to tune in. Don't go anywhere. And we come back the start of map 1 in this series.
Their way in, they catch one, they catch two, and Yellowmac looks to catch one, they catch two. Suddenly things are looking a little bit dangerous as Brother Nom with. Welcome back, everybody, to the Breachers VRML. I'm your host, Gabeeler Bob, and today I have with me Formula 3 EU. They finished number 5 in the regular season over in the European standings. I have with me Nom Gooden, Yellowmac, Serenity, Joshi, and Circle. Really quick, how y'all doing?
I'm very good.
Awesome.
I'm Phantasmagorical.
Phantasmagorical. There you go. Okay, so just a couple of questions for you really quick. First off, how does it feel to skip that Challenger Cup? That's a long day of playing Breachers. I can't imagine you're too disappointed to miss it.
I mean, yeah, it's I mean, I've never played Challenger Cup, but I know it's quite a long day of matches and definitely much better to go straight into finals than having to play CC and then play Acer in the quarters.
Right.
Yeah, CC is not the best.
Yeah, definitely. It can be pretty taxing, you know, and just endurance and your performance of your headset. Now, let me ask you this. Did you expect to be that number 5 team? Were you aiming higher, lower? How's that working out?
Well, our aim obviously was number 1 in EU, but obviously we're number 5, which isn't too bad at all because we skipped the Challenger Cup in fairness. And we know we could have done better in games, we could have gotten higher, and we could have trained more, practiced more. But then again, we could have lost some of those key games, and we could have dropped out of the top 7. So overall, number 5 is a very good placement for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely not the worst case scenario by any means. And I think I've seen some of your gameplay this season. I think you've done very well. Now, let me ask you this. What stands out to you as one of the best moments of your season?
I mean, obviously all the wins are quite good, but
Right.
I think the just tying to Acer wasn't expected. You know, they're an undefeated team, and I feel like that's quite an achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like you said, undefeated, great achievement there. Now, with that in mind, does something stand out as maybe a moment that you want to forget? Is there a worse moment of the season?
Well, there are bad moments in the season. There's no moment we want to forget, because every moment, everything that goes wrong, we always learn from it.
Right.
But a bad moment that happened was when we lost to Niffen. We expected to win that. We
Right.
took a loss, but obviously we learned a lot more than we would have if we won. So in the end, it always works out in our favor.
Absolutely. Love the notion.
The side eye is crazy.
So intellectual, man. It's like,
We did.
Okay, so coming up this weekend, you're facing off against Nexus, the number 4 team, in the close qualifiers. What's preparation looking like for that? How are you preparing?
You know, daily scrims, just lots of practice and making sure we've got stuff down.
Awesome. Yeah, staying on top of your game there. And did you kind of take a break over the holidays there, or did you kind of scrim all through those?
We took the week off.
All right, nice. Good to take some rest and relaxation away from the game, right? Okay, so guys, the last question here is open to anybody who would like to answer. If you did win that EU prize pool, what would you do with the money?
Buy a fat Chinese and certain amounts of something I'm not allowed to say.
Okay.
Enjoy my life.
I would personally, I would go to Tesco's, buy those noodles, save them for the next day, eat them all while playing scrim.
You know they expire within like 3 days, right?
Yeah, I can eat them within like an hour.
You cannot eat so many noodles in one day, I'm telling you.
But I've done it before.
You're bonkers.
I'm bonkers, yeah. I'm bonkers. What have you taken?
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Like put it somewhere, forget about it, and like never touch it again.
That's rude, man.
Or I'll like
You get free money?
no, wait. I'll definitely donate it all to charity. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, even saving it is, it's more of a boring answer, but I think it's what a lot of us would do, pay some bills with it later on. Yeah, so it might not be the most noble of reasons, but it's still certainly a very valid answer. All right, anyone else want to take a stab at the question?
Well, I do
I
have
would
a
need to honor
few
give you the
school trips
podcast.
coming up, so it would be nice to be able to fund those school trips with a bit of money on the side. So that's what I'd be doing.
And then you'd re-put it all back into your potato farm to make more money, your potato farmer.
Okay, all right, well, let's go ahead and get ready to wrap up here really quick. Anybody have anything you want to shout out before we wrap up the interview?
Yes, wait.
What do you got?
Googling it was not an Ivy error. Haha. Haha.
Wait, hold up.
Give you the
I wanna shout out to my boy Abira, bro. He told me to do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
And then
I want to shout out to my mom, my dad, and LeBron James.
I shout out to Quinn, who's not here, on F3. I shout out to Swealo, who's not here, and I shout out to Chris, who's not here. All putting in work behind the scenes.
So I would like to thank Jaquavius, who I made in science and through.
I would like to apologize to my teacher when I blew up the Bunsen burner and burned his hair off. That's also my bad.
I would also like to thank her when I put some plastic on the Bunsen burner by accident.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for that. And of course, we do thank F3 EU for giving us the opportunity to interview them today. Of course, we wish you all good luck against Nexus and throughout the rest of the postseason. That's going to do it for our interview today, but don't worry, we've got plenty more where this came from coming up. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your night, everybody.
To pop out here. They'll catch Desander. They'll catch Adam. They'll catch the triple and Mario. And Desander reinforcing B, realizing the flank isn't coming. Elimination Nick comes in and Desander's here. Surprise, surprise. Picks up a double. One. Definitely indicating the push is coming in here and the swing out the...
Welcome back, everybody, to The Breachers, VRML. I'm your host, Gibular Bob, and today I'm here with Nexus, currently the number 4 team in the European standings. With me today, I have Kitten number 4, LPC Accurate, Goat Boy, Pixel Player, and Petrol. We also have Tesco here, but they're not present in game right now. So, really quick, guys, how are y'all doing today?
Pretty good.
Good.
All right.
Doing fine.
Now, did you expect to be number 4 when you finished the season?
But then we,
I don't think any of us
started
expected to
games.
be number 1.
But the season started off a bit rough, and then I think during the past 5-4 weeks, we sort of had to lock in, and I think we did very well.
All right. So, what would you consider the best moment of your VRML season?
I would say beating Acer. Oh no, drawing versus Acer. Sorry, is our best moment of the season.
All right. And why would you say that?
Yeah, because they didn't win, ruin their streak, and probably ruin their flow as well.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing to prepare for the close qualifiers that are coming up after the Challenger Cup? Are you scrimming? Are you taking it easy? What's the preparation looking like?
We've taken a break over Christmas, and now that Christmas is over, we're gonna try and get a lot more scrims going, so we can try and properly lock in.
All right, and finally, this question is open to anybody who wants to answer, but if you did win this season, what would you do with the prize money?
I'd probably save a bit for any new games that come out.
Ooh.
Especially if Orion Drift, we don't know if that hasn't came out yet, and if it costs money, I'm gonna buy it with that money.
Okay, well, with all that in mind, we do want to thank Nexus for joining us for this interview today. And we do, of course, wish them good luck in the rest of the postseason. Until next time, we'll catch you in the next interview. Have a fantastic rest of your night, everybody.
everybody. Thank you for patiently waiting for us to dive into our first matchup of the EU postseason. Well, technically not. Challenger Cup will count, but it's the top 8, Bob. We've waited a long time. Ever since, I think, the end of last season's EU finals, which were a spectacular finals. I remember the EU postseason being one worth going back and re-watching. I think we are in store for even better matchups this year in particular, this season in particular. These teams, the squads in general in the Breacher space have really grown a lot, and I feel like we're now getting to look at some of the best arguably go at it, and there's a lot to learn. If you're new to the game, if you're new to Breachers, if you're just jumping into the competitive scene, you can watch these top teams, observe the strategies, where they place their trip mines, how they move in together as squads, how their utility is deployed, and have a really and utilize that when you go take it into ranked, when you go take it into your matchmaking, when you go compete against your buddies. You can impress everyone with a nice trip mine on a stairwell that nobody's ever seen before. There's a lot to learn here today, Bob.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because just recently we had somebody join the VRML Discord and ask, is there a way that I can watch pros and learn from their gameplay? And we just so happen to have an entire YouTube channel full of VODs and tutorials, interviews with these top teams that, you can use these. This is your reference here. You can watch the top players play. And what better time is there to watch than here during the postseason when you're going to see the best of the best play each other for that battle of supremacy, for that $1,000 prize pool? I mean, already you can see these teams are motivated to win. That comes through in their interviews. Even the Challenger Cup winners, we had that brand new Season 3 finalist skin revealed. And that has been,
so cool.
for some people, even more worth it than actually winning the prize pool.
I know. Yeah, the red skin, so great for the Christmas debut. And man, it looks so good. You can look at it more if you want by heading over to this YouTube channel right here and going into our video section. You'll see our new trailer as well. What a fantastic, cool trailer for the Season 3 postseason, mocked up by you and Chumbait and a bunch of the other creators teams like that. The creator team, that is ultimately a really cool piece there. And I'm really happy that we have such good effort coming in from the whole squad to produce such fantastic content.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to produce. And again, shout out to Chum because the whole trailer and everything, he put in a ton of effort on that. The music was custom made by another one of our creators, Deadline. So big shout out to the two of them because they were kind of the big forward thinkers that made everything possible. But yeah, I mean, I love the skin. It looks beautiful. I've had a chance to look at it in game. It is even better when you're there and holding it. But yeah, there's so much pressure now to get to this point because you want that skin, but also now we're talking about money on the line. These teams have the opportunity to get paid out, and they still have a long way to go, right? They have to win this best of 3 and then next week.
Money and prestige, arguably, too, right? Because we're seeing consistent growth amongst the Breachers space and the competitive space. And, I think this is maybe one of our most viewed EU pre-shows we've done, for Breachers so far. And so it's just, there's a lot of hype around the game and the competitive space. And if you can lock in first, second, third, fourth, as your teams finish ranking in the season, that helps you recruiting for Season 4, for maybe when that prize pool grows. Like, who knows what's going to happen if the space continues to grow. There's a lot of possibilities. And so, it has value, too, in the long run. You're seeing teams like Acer and Rect making, names for themselves as squads. F3 making names for themselves as squads by consistently getting to these high-end points in the postseason, to getting to this battle here where they have a chance to push themselves up to the semifinals, to push themselves up to maybe that finals position. And if you keep winning, then you get into guaranteed money, right? Because then if you lose, you get second. So at least you're coming away with some cash because there is a prize pool there for second place as well. But we do have squads in lobby ready to go, Bob. So I do think we should give them the fire away signal. And we'll dive into our first map. And we should dive into the stats of the afternoon between these two teams. So let's take a look at how they've been performing. Formula 3 EU 5-4-4 on their regular season record. Ignore your local standings there. A little bug there, but no worries. Hideout, Factory, Ship, Arctic, and Skyscraper all played. Dam on the Nexus's most played map list, but not on Formula 3 EU's, Bob. And we got to factor in all these equations, all these elements, the increased map pool since Season 2 to 3. If you are just familiar with the Season 2 postseason and you're coming here to the Season 3 postseason, it's a little different. That map pool is more diverse. And as I say this, Bob, as I talk about new maps and new metas and new, we go back to maybe one of the oldest maps in existence in this video game to play for our first map of the afternoon on Factory. So what do the stats say, Bob? How do we see Factory going for F3 this afternoon? They'll be on the attack to start things off, and Nexus will be opening up on the defense.
Yeah, this is kind of the OG, These teams have played on this map plenty of times. We do see that the win percent on Factory for F3 is 44%, if my data is correct. But it's not the highest percentage, but hey, it's that OG map. These teams understand it very well, and it's really going to come down a lot to the execution of strategy. It's hard to throw somebody, off balance and surprise them here because, if there's a strategy, it's been played against these teams before. So it's all coming down to how well these teams can win those gunfights, execute those strategies, and we're about to find out how well these teams can do that as F3 on the move. They're on the offensive half, opening up the hatch down into Site A, and we're off.
Indeed, we are to the races to open up our postseason for the EU. The top 8 cracking into it now. We have our 4 and 5 teams battling it out here. Maybe a technical issue? Circle? No, they're droning, I think, as they do try and get some details on the push in here. The nade's going to follow up. Nicely tossed down in the corner. They're not going to catch anyone out. No damage done either. And so far, everyone full HP, but we got to shift our attention back down to the bottom floor. And look at this. Swung by Buck, tried to swing out onto Yellow Mac, and they go down. Scrat in the corner. Siddle Sloth also tucked into the server room, and they're just waiting for the push onto site, Bob.
Serenity. Yellow Mac out in upper orange. Here comes Circle as well. And we have lost one Nexus player, but again, it's that 5 versus 4. However, F3 running out of time to make a move in this round. Circle applying some suppressive fire onto Smoke Salmon. There's a frag toss. The EMP is down in upper orange. Pixel player cutting off Nam Guden. Serenity goes down. It's a double kill for Nexus. They're looking to make it a round win here as Smoke Salmon picks up a syringe, which is actually a rare buy on round 1. Good incendiary as well. Yellow Mac and Circle don't have a whole lot of space to move to, and 40 seconds on the clock. Nexus holding down the fort here, not letting F3 get too aggressive. Joshi now drops. Smoke Salmon finds one, and Joshi going down, and there it is. The Nexus team wins round 1.
Our pistol opener for our first best of 3 series this afternoon. A reminder, we have another one immediately after this. The number 1 seed, Acer EU, versus the Challenger Cup winner, Chaotic. I think a lot of folks hoping to see Chaotic be the dark horse and overcome the challenge of that number 1 seed, but neither one of these teams, Bob, could do it. They got close. They tied Acer EU, but couldn't beat them. And I think if both teams tied Acer EU, we're probably in store for a pretty dang good back and forth this afternoon. So while it's a nice opener for Nexus, we do see what is a pretty heavy commitment after the win, coming in with all Omens, and then a pretty heavy eco on the other side from F3.
Yeah, this is an interesting strategy, and I think it actually may work well for Nexus so long as they stay on the sites or stay close to say, actually, look at this. F3 now completely investing into Omens. And this has become a lot more common, right? Because the Omen has been buffed. It's actually cheaper now. And on top of that, it gives you more money if you get a kill with it. So teams are going to use this to burst down their opponents, try and find some early picks here, get themselves some more money. And we'll see. I mean, again, Nexus is heavily investing here. They bought that second syringe. They are going to play the aggressive utility game, and they may actually be able to outpace F3 here.
F3 did a very late buy, Bob. Everyone has omens now. I just realized that they all picked them up. As we were going into that round, everyone had their pistols, but the last 20 seconds, the entire team scoops up omen. So it is a omen v omen series here in our second round, as we do get some shots out by Buck. Yellow Mac trying to disrupt that on-site defense, and Joshy Quest is going to be pushing up here, getting right into the grill of one, swings for more, finds two with the Viper.
Beautiful double kill with that Viper. Only 1:40 on the clock now, as F3 have moved into orange storage. Going to look to compress here on this site. Smoke Salmon finds two. Good bounce back from Nexus as we're in a 3 versus 2. 3 versus 1. It's up to Scrat, who goes down to Yellow Mac. And the Omens, oh no!
What?
Circle and Joshy go down to the trip mines, and that's very unfortunate there
They
for
don't even
F3.
get the EMP plant, Bob. They were both going for the EMP plant for the extra cash. It doesn't even come through at the end, and they both, I mean, that's like, honestly, pretty big, because those are big. That's a big investment. You're committing to the omens. You're spending money for you to lose both of those into this round when you'd like to have carried your omens through, so then you can really optimize your cash investment in round 4. They don't. They have to reinvest. They have to spend money. And so that's like also a huge trip mine, Bob. Again, pay attention to where these things are placed, because those two trip mines absolutely kept this thing way closer than it should have been. And Formula 3 could have really come up nicely off of that second round win.
Shout out to Angel, the captain of Formula 3 NA, who actually showed us that particular spot in the Mastering the Meta video. And yeah, it's very unfortunate to lose two, not one, but two players in that spot, because again, it's ripping apart that eco. You know, they're still on SMGs here, and they're able to buy some extra utility, but ultimately they could have walked out of there with 2 stims and some SMGs, and they left with only one of those stims, and to your point, they weren't even able to get the EMP down. So they did get the round win, but it was definitely not best case scenario for them by any means. We'll see if F3 can keep up this momentum. It is currently tied here, 1-1. Frag tossed down the hatch, and here comes the drop from both Yellow Mac and Nom Guden. Drone moving into lockers, and it spots Buck. However, is it also going to get Pixel Player out there? Pixel Player's over in orange vendings. Buck picks up a lot of damage. Yellow Mac pushes that kill and will find it. Pixel Player still hanging out in orange vendings, but look at this. The F3 offense is rotating over to push on site. Oh, Pixel Player went down too. Good flank watch.
Yeah, really nice pickup there. Needed that one big time, as we do have Sloth, Salmon, and Scrat all still alive and well, but limited on that effectiveness of gun, especially with Sloth. A nice pickup from Scrat. Finds one swinging out. 3v5, 3v4 now, and I'm still waiting for Sloth to make this swing on to Joshy Quest, but they've got an opportunity to surprise him. And they swing out for one, but no, a nice pickup quickly with that Vezin in the close quarters.
Here's Scrat looking for Circle, but they do not find that kill. Smoke Salmon will take out Yellow Mac, but it is a 2 versus 2, and both players on Nexus very, very low. It's up to Smoke Salmon, who takes even more damage. I mean, you could sneeze on Smoke Salmon and they would die right now on 3 health, and that EMP is planted, and, well, Smoked has quite the task ahead of them. Joshy actually tucking in storage. May find Smoke Salmon here. No, they don't even have to, as Circle will pick up that kill. F3 taking momentum here.
I prefer a cracker on my smoked salmon and not a sneeze, Bob. But, you know, either way, a close round coming in there. And F3 are in control, I would argue, for maybe now in a big way, too. You know, coming off of, sure, that double trip mine loss, it hurts, but they've got a very comfortable safety net with them now. They're fully investing, as is Nexus, into our round 4. And Bob, maybe that's what we're going to see, the shift in that meta. Round 3 used to be our full buy, right? We used to see both sides pretty regularly committing into picking up their spending all of their cash in that third round. But I think we may see more SMG rounds in that third round now, especially this weekend with these top tier teams.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what you will see is that the team that's getting momentum. Oh, we see a juggler up on the roof, but we do see at least one rifle is usually purchased around round 3. But yeah, it is very SMG heavy now. But it's very important to give yourself that Vezin or that rifle to get that one-shot potential, because it can be very useful against Omens or other SMGs that require more than one headshot to kill a player. We did see F3 invest in one of those rifles, but yeah, now both teams have been saving quite a bit. And here we go with the rifle round. Pixel player actually investing in a Cadillo, not able to afford that Vezin. Yeah. But we do see a pretty nice balance of utility from both teams. So you're going to see a lot of utility play in this round, and we'll see if F3 can keep that momentum up.
Ventilation nades into the hands of Buck and Scrat, and a note worth saying, because if you are paying attention to the Breacher's Twitter, they did mention that they are going to update those immolation nades, Bob. And the effectiveness, I think, is going to be a drastic change in how much they get used.
Yeah, they're already pretty useful for routing, denying space, but yeah, a small issue prevented them from spreading out the full area that they were supposed to. So it'll be nice to see. That'll be a great fix, especially for League players that love to use those incendiaries. But moving back to the round here, on round number 4, there goes the wall into Site A. Serenity looking to have a go at that angle, but Smoked Salmon might be the one to get the kill. Circle finds Side Sloth, or Sid Sloth, excuse me, and only a minute on the clock as F3 starting to make their move. There's a smoke tossed in, denying some perspective. Pixel player actually finding one kill with the Cadillo. Serenity picks up Smoked Salmon as we see a 4 versus 3 Yellow Mac hanging outside of connector right now. A second player from F3 moves in, and Scrat finding one, looking to maybe take out Yellow Mac as well. Buck very low on health. Scrat looks to have the swing, but both players just not peeking at the right time. Buck hanging outside of Site A. They may move in and catch a pick here. Yellow Mac looking to get the plant down, but they're in a pretty awkward spot.
Really good
and
drop.
Namguna goes down. Oh, Buck is refragged by Yellow Mac. And it's down to that 2 versus 2. Here comes the drop. Yellow Mac looking to take out one, but no, they both go down. It's a double kill from Scrat and a good clutch to give Nexus their second round.
That was such a hard-fought round coming in from Nexus.
Definitely.
And really well played. Pay attention to that end of that round in particular and just the maneuvering of Nexus. They recognize that they've lost control of Site after they have those early deaths come through. And so the call comes in, especially from Buck and Scrat, who are playing that upfront offensive position inside server room, to drop back all the way to the other site. Allow them to take control. Allow the EMP to go down, and then retake will be the play. That's the call that I think Nexus executed on there. They said, okay, we're not going to defend anymore. Let's allow them to push into site, and then we'll collapse back onto them for a second retake. And, I mean, it really was a great strat that ends up, I think, catching F3 a little off guard. They maybe felt overconfident pushing into that site. Maybe didn't have an accurate kill count. Obviously, you have that on your wrist, but, you know, in the chaos, it's sometimes something you're not paying attention to. And so they definitely get caught by surprise there on the retake. And we're tied 2-2 now. Economies are essentially even, although you'll see Nexus in a bit better of a space here because F3 are ecoing. Nexus coming off of that round win, obviously feeling better, but a lot of kills as well coming through here, Bob. A lot of trades back and forth that are keeping this close, and you can look at the scoreboard. Josh Quest 2 has 6 kills, 6 and 3, over a 2-0 KD, and they're tied right now.
Yeah, everybody here is doing quite well so far in this game. Again, we are still relatively at the start of the half, so yeah. But I mean, 6-3 already is a good KD for Josh to have. Definitely bringing in a lot of momentum for their team there. Really quick, that Nexus retake really reminded me a lot of Season 1 gameplay when the site retake was kind of the meta way to play defense. As we see Sid Sloth taking out Josh's Serenity with a quick refrag there as F3 are able to recover some utility. And they do pass that EMP, and they're setting up for that Site A push. We do see Buck over in lockers. They may catch a kill onto Serenity here, but with that Omen, I don't know. They may find some difficulty here taking out Serenity. And there goes the wall into site A. Pixel player over in connector. Yellow Mac gets tossed that EMP, looking to get that plant. Serenity using the audio to bait out Buck. And Buck might take the bait. They do, and Serenity, beautifully executed kill. And we do see an incendiary blocking off access to Cubby right now. 3 versus 4. Less than a minute to go. F3 have to get that EMP in and planted. They have good positioning for it right now, but they do manage to spot the trips, not letting that happen to them twice.
Yeah, smart. Nade comes over the top. It's the second piece of utility that's been thrown at this EMP. Do they have any more? No, there's no more immolation nades. There's no more grenades to toss. EMP finally gets planted, and on the execute, or on the extraction rather, Pixel player catches circle. There is still 3 healthy and alive F3 defenders here, though, so Salmon and Scrat are going to have a tough time pushing up, and the kills rolling through as the entire squad finds their shots from the rooftop to the bottom floor, and F3 retake the lead.
Yeah, you could see Serenity there was very, very hyped. They absolutely were the cornerstone of success in that round, dropping 3 very, very important kills. They actually got swung with their gun down twice, and they managed to get the kill both times, and then finally getting that cleanup kill with the rifle at the end. Very, very well executed by F3 all around. You can see they got that EMP in, planted, and then 2 players were immediately up on that roof looking to cover their bases. And Nexus, you know, I think they burned their util. It wasn't bad deployment, but they weren't quite able to make that util go all the way, and unfortunately for them, they are going to go in this round with barely any money left. So it is round 6. The eco is going to be back to normal as they swap over to the offense. But so far, F3 looking like they could make this 4-2 moving into the second half. The question is, which team is going to have the better defensive half?
Into the action we go as Buck tucks into that forward defensive position on the outside of B. They've got nades and utility ready to go in case the push comes through, and Sidsloth gets tagged big time. Another nade coming in to the corner of Buck, does about a quarter of their damage. Their health still alive though. Counter immolation nade comes in to slow the swing out from Buck. Actually a nice bit of offensive immolation nade toss there to deter the swing from Buck out of that doorway and allow them to get set up into position. And it's a bit of a slow, methodical entry here for F3 as they just kind of poke and prod at what is the initial defensive positions outside of B. And they've won, Bob. They've warded off that outside B defense, and they can now push in and regain control, take the B site eventually, I imagine. And, well, they've been doing good with it so far, so why change the game plan now in the final round of the half?
Yeah, this is going to come back to haunt Nexus. Pixel player definitely needed to get more success in on their roam. They were going to look for at least 1 pick, but now that first pick has been given up to F3, they don't have to worry about anybody else flanking them. They've cleared their angle. Smoke Salmon is able to find Yellow Mac. Scrat, making excellent use of the center position of Site B, finds a second kill. And F3 quickly bouncing back here. Serenity catching Smoked Salmon. We're now 3-3 with less than a minute to go. Again, F3 bleeding out the clock quite a bit, and there's going to be a lot of pressure for them to get that EMP in, and the longer they wait, the better off it is for Nexus, because F3 are going to have to rush in at some point, and Nexus is going to look to catch them while they are doing so. Now just 40 seconds left, and we do still see Nexus too strong over inside B. Buck may have a go at the flank here, and nobody on F3 is watching. Namgooden in circle, now moving out. Circle gets caught, though, as a quick refrag comes in from Namgooden, but that EMP is now dropped and only 20 seconds left on the clock. Nexus definitely looking like they could play this round right and get that 3-3 tie, as Serenity now pushing in. They get caught by Scrat. Namgooden flashes themselves, goes for the swing. They manage to find Sidsloth. And it's up to Scrat.
I got the plan.
He won the plan. Here comes the swing from Scrat. Namgooden dodging. And it's a battle ring around the rosy right now between Scrat and Namgooden. Is Scrat going to have the ammo? They do have the ammo for that. And they managed to clutch up. Very, very well played by Nexus there, especially considering they didn't have the guns and they didn't have the members moving into that offensive push.
Man, a drop back there would have been a great play to got the EMP to then swing back into your safety net of that B space would have been the move there for F3. They could have had their 4-2 half, could have been going into this half much more comfortably, but as we swap sides, we reset economies. Nexus now attack, F3 defend, and I'm curious to see how the F3 defense goes, because arguably Factory tends to lead pretty 50-50, I would say, nowadays. And when you get into the top 8, it's a toss-up. You know, you can argue maps have side favoritism, but quite frankly, with how good all of these squads are, any team is capable of winning around on any side. You know, and on any of these objectives, really. Some objectives certainly lean one way or another. But anyway, it is the unknown. That's why we're here, because quite frankly, I don't know how this series is going to unfold right now, but I do feel F3 might have a little more momentum going into the defensive half with picking up 3 offensive points.
I don't know. I feel like we could see
an upset.
Nexus.
I don't know who's the upset. What were the votes again? Wasn't it in favor of F3?
The votes were in favor of F3, but I think they could potentially be demoralized from that previous loss. That was their chance to go 4-2, build up some momentum, but they were denied by Nexus. So I think both teams are still, I think they're still very much in this game. It's still anybody's game at this point.
For sure.
But it's all going to come down to this pistol round. I think if Nexus can get a win on this pistol round, it may start boosting their mental enough where they can just bring this home. But we'll see. F3 are not going to give this up. They want this pistol round win as well. And I think immediately after this, you're going to start to see more SMG buys once again. Both teams are going to just cash out, and you're going to see SMGs on both sides again. But in any case, here we are, round 7, and the push from Nexus is slowly developing. Serenity upstairs in lockers, and they've been spotted by Scrat. That hatch open upstairs, but actually the rest of Nexus is already setting up outside of Site A.
Open, nades are in. Immolation isn't going to catch Gnome because they positioned themselves up onto this ledge, but the pistol headshots will catch Gnome. A trade on the headshot, though, as Pixel also goes down in their effort to push up. And for now, the Immolation nade's slow. EMP goes up against the wall, and a quick headshot from Sloth. The swing out from Sloth catches Quest 2 as well. Joshi goes down, but on the stairs, a retake. Serenity springs a little bit of a trap, but they're alone now. The site's been taken. On-site defense is gone, and EMP going to be planted.
Here's the thing. This is a learning opportunity if you're watching the chat right now. If you are on that flank, you have to make sure that you're pushing in time to help your team out, because we did see Serenity caught a pick, but they were way, way, way too slow on this flank, and ultimately their entire team was dead by the time they were able to pull off a pinch. So you have to make a good roamer is able to make the call for when they can speed up and when they can slow down on their roam, because a lot of the time you see a situation like that. The roamer, they lose their team and then they try and push in, and ultimately the numbers advantage is just too much for them to deal with.
Nexus leads for, I think, the first time in this series off of the side swap and the pistol round, and F3 down by 1 on their opening defensive point. To your end, SMGs are the key to the next 2 rounds, and we'll see a heavy investment in that, especially on the F3 side, because, again, like you said, you want to get more money, especially when you're down. It's kind of like that, it's a bit of a gamble in a lot of ways, obviously, right? You're investing, and if it doesn't work, you're kind of in trouble. If it does, you manage to get yourself a little bit extra cash than you went in with. So it is a... I just love to see Triangle Factory putting in the focus and the time to enabling stuff like this, to shifting the meta, for us to get off of what was, in my opinion, kind of a stale meta, right? We had done that for 2 or 3 seasons. We knew what was coming each round, and if you were a competitive player, you knew what your opponent was picking. So you could play into that knowing how they're going to play. Now, there's more diversity. There's more options. Do they go with any Vezins? Is it all SMGs? We're seeing the winning team here, Nexus, go big with 2 Vezins, 2 Omens, and the pistol.
I've absolutely loved seeing the change in the meta, and especially because I think it introduces a lot more risk into the way that Breacher's economy works. You know, you see these buys, these SMG buys, and it can be a very risky income choice. But here comes Smoked Salmon looking for Nam Guden. They might get double teamed here, but no, they were supported by Scrat. Nam Guden is now alone. They have that SMG. They go for the swing out, and they manage to collect Smoked Salmon.
Look at the back.
And they couldn't get the Pixel player here. No, they walk right into the Vezin. And Pixel player manages to find that kill. However, it is a 2 versus 2. Circle catching Pixel player. That's a rifle down. And Scrat is going to look to collect the rifle. But it is a 1 versus 2. Scrat in the static field emitter. They may get swung. No, they do. Yeah, the Vezin wasn't loaded. Oh, that's so unfortunate. And Yellow Mac is able to clutch up and keep F3 in this game. And, you know, Nightfire, once it looks like it's leaning one way, it just immediately goes back to a tie.
That's the worst. That's Nexus basically losing round 1. Like, they might have well just lost the pistol round. You know, in terms of economic investment, they might as well have just lost the pistol round because they just gave 2 Vezins, which is everything you would have earned from the win and more, over to their team. So that one stings a lot, in my opinion, and it really enables F3 to set up really well for the rest of this half. They can eco even a little bit here because they've got 2 Vezins in their hands. They don't need to overinvest, and so they're going to have a huge cushion going into round 10 and 11, especially if they win this next round, which they have a huge advantage on in terms of utility and weapons. Look at this. It's a full eco from Nexus coming off of that loss. F3, this is going to be a real hard. To your point, Bob, hey, anything's possible. But, I mean, let's go back and look at the play from F3 at the end of the day. That was really well executed on their defense because Nexus had that, in my opinion. They were really doing a great job of pinching in on that surrounding defense, collapsing in around them, hitting them from both sides. But then F3... Oh, no, F3 were the ones defending. Excuse me. Yeah, I really liked the F3 defense, and I think that's what got them the win. The way that they forced Nexus and trapped them into that space that they dropped down and into that corner room. There just weren't a lot of options. They were getting hit from the stair flank from Joshi, and again, it deserved win, I think, from F3. And that one that comes off of strategy, not off of kit. And that's a nice opening.
For Nexus, yeah. The SMG down. Joshi unable to make that flank work. And this is another lesson. You don't want to be too fast on the flank. It's all about finding the good balance between going too fast and being too slow, which is why a flank position is one of the most challenging to play on a team because you have to hit the timing perfectly. And in Josh's case, it just didn't work out. So Nexus, again, I mean, we start to see one team pull one way and then the other team bounces back immediately. Nexus have this first pick here. They've got momentum. If they can play this well, they may potentially be able to find some more momentum against F3. But just as I say that, I eat my words as Serenity and Yellow Mac both find a kill. And it's now a 3 versus 4 numbers in the favor of F3 and only a minute on the clock. Pixel player has got to hurry and get that EMP down at some point, but there's so much utility being dumped into the various angles that it's just not safe to get into that site. Frag is tossed. Static field emitter still up. Smoked Salmon looking for a kill, but again, 40 seconds, just not a whole lot of options here from Nexus.
Circle is the linchpin in this defense, and it's stalling out the entirety of Nexus. They are hitting both that doorway entry point on the peak. Gnome over the top is helping, and their Circle swings out on the other side to shut down Pixel player, and it does leave just swung by Scrat alone. Low on HP, and against 4 nearly full health F3 defenders.
This is it's just not what you would be hoping for if you're Nexus. I mean,
Well, it's your eco round, right? So you're just trying to do damage.
Right.
You know, and I guess a kill is nice. But
a kill is good, but
not enough.
The problem here is that they just, there's so much util got dumped, and then they only got 1 pick. You want to make sure that you're getting, I think the minimum is 2. Best case scenario would be 3 or more.
Yeah.
But they just got out-utiled by F3, and ultimately F3 now finding some momentum here. They could push ahead, but both sides have rifles. The issue that I'm seeing is that Nexus doesn't have a whole lot of utility. Scrat may be that support player, maybe buying some utility for their teammates, and it looks like they will devolve from 4 Vezins into 3 Vezins and a Kadia. I think that's the better call get yourself some more utility. I feel like they should also buy a heal here. They need to cash out and get this win, because if they lose this, it is going to be a 6-4 game. Match point's going to go to F3.
Yeah, and it's not where you want to be in your first map of a best-of-3 series. They could be done in 2 if F3 win this one in the second map, and obviously that's the case if Nexus come out on top also, right? We go to the series point, or series map, rather, in our second map of this best-of-3. It's just how things work. Sometimes we state the obvious, but the obvious sometimes isn't known to the fine folks at home, so we do appreciate those of you that obviously understand the way VRML operates and have been in it for a while. We do appreciate your support, and we appreciate you tuning in. We've got some great stuff that we're working on, some merch that we'll be rolling out pretty dang soon here. I actually might have the link to the EU one. I do. Look at that. I've just
there we go.
It.
Love to see that.
The EU Season 3 shirt is out. We'll talk more about it after the round ends, because it's about to begin, Bob.
And here we go. Minute 50 on the clock as Nexus have pushed into Orange Vending's Pixel player on stairs, and we don't actually see a roamer from F3 upstairs. I think they're realizing that they're doing a lot better just by sticking to the site and not getting too aggressive. We see Joshy's playing up over by the window, and actually Sid Sloth is watching the same, and they both back away from the angle at the same time. That was pretty funny. But hey, oh my goodness, a minute 20 on the clock. Pixel player looks to get that foam down, and that EMP player is playing very close to door here. They're going to look to potentially play this quickly. I feel like we may see some kind of a rush play here. Circle waiting. Sid Sloth does find Josh. You got a little bit too aggressive on that window. First pick given up. Oh my goodness, Nam Guden manages to escape, but they're routed right into Sid Sloth's line of fire. And again, we see a fast push by Nexus. They are bouncing back here very, very quickly. Circle, Yellow Mac over in connector, but they are in a weaker side of the positioning here, because that EMP is now getting planted. In the moment they swing out, they're going to be caught. Circle almost goes down. They're getting pushed by Smoke Salmon, who does catch one. He's going to look for the second, but Circle manages to find that. However, they're in a 1 versus 3, and they are on 10 health. They do have double stims, but no matter what way you slice it, it's going to be, let's say, slightly challenging for Circle here.
That, what went wrong for F3? You know, they had the advantage. Everything was looking good. Off the bye round, they catch the win, though, and Nexus just spring right back into this one. Like I said, F3 have the they have that safety net because of the previous big round wins, the way they've managed their economy. They'll be able to full buy here, no problem. That's not the issue going into this last round. If they lose here, though, Bob, F3 is in a tight spot. They do not have a lot to lean on in order to invest to counter Nexus, who will be running off of a high of multiple wins, a big economy. This next round, I think, is very much do or die for F3. This is maybe their last chance to keep this map alive for them.
Here we go. I'm so excited because we have the potential to go in overtime on our very first map here. With how close these teams have been playing here, it's very likely that we could see that 6-6 tie, which means that we're going into overtime. Because again, overtime is enabled if we do get into that phase. I'll explain how it works. But what an exciting first! This is the first map of our Group A today, and it's just been phenomenal to watch. I mean, the back and forth. Neither team here is really pulling ahead of the other one.
We knew it was going to happen today with our first series, quite frankly. I was expecting F3 EU and Nexus to be duking it out like this, and they are delivering on my expectations, which is all I can ask for on the desk. This has been a great opening map, like you said, Bob, and we're into our second to last round of this factory battle, which is about to unfold on the outside of B here. And Nexus are going to be basically given free reign of the outside of B. There's not a whole lot of defensive setup there coming in from F3.
Smoke Salmon disabling the trip mines as Josh Quest looked to go and potentially find a pick, but it is an aggressive push here from Nexus. They're looking to break into this site before F3 can fully resist here, but Joshy up by the door gets a lot of damage on the pixel. Sid Sloth looks for that refrag, but it just doesn't happen, and that might slow down Nexus, especially because here's Serenity on the flank. Scrat doesn't spot them. Serenity looks for one, finds two, and they get away before they're refragged, and that is exactly how you pull off a fantastic flank there. Smoke Salmon managing to catch Joshy, but numbers in favor of F3, and just when you thought it was that Nexus round, well, now the door is potentially open for F3 to take that match point first. Less than a minute to go now as F3 getting ready for this Nexus push.
We'll have to go back and look at that replay flank because that is something to learn. The way they went down the stairs against the wall to dodge the window peek because they knew Sid Sloth was holding, it makes them have a false sense of comfort. Joshy's drawing attention out the window. It's a huge effort and coordinated play from the F3 squad that gets them this 4-4-3 advantage, but it's only a player advantage. It's not a lot. The economy still leans into the favor of Nexus. They have the utility to be able to deploy here and get rid of any counter nades, and oh, what a great toss from Yellow Mac on the immolation to completely deny entry through that doorway as the smoke goes out. Smoke Salmon catches circle up to the center. That opens up entry into B nicely, but they're still stalled out, and time is ticking, Bob. 10 seconds on the clock. They have to work up. EMP has to go down, but it's on the floor. They haven't picked it up. 5 seconds left. They're not going to get it in time, and down goes the Nexus offense. Up goes F3 into map point.
And this is, you know what, this is like just Breachers 101 education here. This is what happens. You don't want to burn down the clock too much because that's exactly what happened in that case. The EMP was down at the door. Nexus were waiting to push in, but they couldn't pick up that EMP and plant it because F3 threw an incendiary on top of it, completely denying access to it. And it's one of these moments where you have to remember, you can't take too long because the defense just needs to throw some utility to stall you. And if they don't use it too early in the round, I mean, you could get quite literally stalled out of being able to plant that EMP, and you might not even be able to plant that EMP with enough time on the clock. That's exactly what happened. Nexus were forced to push in, and ultimately it was a textbook defeat there to F3. And now F3 can potentially bring out a map win here on this round. Nexus looking to bounce back, turn it into an overtime game, but their economy, I mean, they spent everything. You don't blame them because, I mean, this is the last round. We can't go after this, but it's heavy investments from both sides.
Well, it could maybe not be the last round, Bob. 6-6, we keep going. Nexus wins here. They keep the dream alive. We go into that tiebreaker, like you said. So still hope for Nexus, and that's something different that these teams frankly haven't had all season long, right? There hasn't been hope. It's been, I got a tie now, but there's a hope for a win here for Nexus. Right. And if you're F3, you have to kind of balance your economy to some degree. Maybe not overinvest in every single piece of utility, spend all your dollar, because if you do lose here, I don't know. I guess how does the economy work in overtime? We'll talk about it if we get there. We're not there yet. We're in to what could be map deciding round, or take us into the OT. Joshy Quest is on the flank though, Bob, and if they spring things right, could be devastating.
Buck picks up some damage through the wall as Nexus looking to make it a double breach here onto site A, a two-prong, if you will. There goes one, there's the second. Smoke Salmon in the back of Blue Vendings as Buck finding the kill onto Joshy. Serenity picks up quite a bit of damage, and they're forced into the corner of Site A. Scrat may be the one to find this kill. Pixel Player also pinching as Serenity is so low on health. Good frag. That's going to route Circle and Namguden back into the connector, and Nexus are playing this beautifully. Serenity is caught as they're looking for that health syringe. Now less than a minute on the clock, and we have to see Nexus go for that plant. There it is. Pixel Player looking for it. CDM and frag are tossed. Scrap goes down to the fire, but Pixel is able to get that EMP planted, and there goes the run from Nexus. They now have to stay up on that roof, and it's just 45 seconds before we head into that overtime round. Pixel Player holding down the hatch as the rest of their teammates are there. And how do you play this if you're on F3? You need to keep applying pressure to that hatch. Nom Good takes out one, looks to tap that EMP. They go down to Pixel Player. They're running out of time. Sid Sloth was downstairs. They find one. Circle goes down, but there it is. It is going to be that overtime round. Very, very well played by Nexus. And before we get into the round analysis, let me explain how this is going to work.
43.
Over time, the teams have been accumulating score, which you can see up at the top of the in-game scoreboard. But the team with more score is F3, and they got to vote on which side they could start on. So they picked defense, and now both teams have had $4,000 across the board to spend on whatever they'd like, and the winner of this round is going to win the full map.
It is a full buy, a essential reset of economy, but instead of taking us into pistols, we go into all the guns, all the utility, everything in deployment here for our last round. It is the evening of the playing field across the board on economy, and it comes down to your strategic ability. Your ability to counter your opponent with skill. And that's what we're going to see in this last round. And I'm so happy that we're doing this for the postseason, that we don't have a tie here, Bob, because then we go into this weird phase of having another, map 3 maybe. Who knows who wins the series? This comes on rounds. No longer. We are going to crown a winner here after this round.
And I mean, this is just for the first map.
I know. I can't believe we get to OT map 1.
Yeah. I mean, but it's an incredible back and forth here. I mean, it still hasn't been decided. It really could go either way, but we'll see. I mean, F3 have had a good defensive half. Nexus have had their moments here on offense. It hasn't been quite as strong as their defense, but in any case, we're getting started on round 13. The first time, well, not the first time, but the first time we see this in the top 8. Nom Guden with an immediate pick onto Scrat, and they almost die to their own grenade. Pixel Player over in storage as the health syringe is tossed to Nom.
Nice
First
save.
pick has been given up, but look at Sid Sloth. They might be able to get the pinch from Orange Vendings. Joshy Quest is caught by catches Pixel Player as we're now into a 3 versus 5. Smoked Salmon takes out Joshy, circle over by Connector, and Nexus not quite out of this yet, but they have an uphill battle.
Yeah, swung by Sloth, was going to rotate around from the flank and ran into a barrier that they weren't expecting. A nice nade toss, casts his circle, and just like that, F3 get chipped down to just 2. Serenity surprised by Sloth. Yellow Mac is alone in a 1v3 as Sight gets pushed. Low HP bars across Nexus as they heal up and take their time. 55 seconds on the clock. The right move is to go for the standard EMP plant, not brace that wall, not go for that extra effort. But they're going to go for it. They're going to breach that wall. They're going to allow Yellow Mac to potentially deploy a nade, catch a double kill. This is risky. But they're going to go for it. They've got the hold on the corner. Buck goes down. Yellow Mac's going to swing. Catches the EMP user. Swings up the triple. No, it's Smoked Salmon who takes the round for Nexus.
What an incredible round and a clutch from Smoked Salmon. I mean, they were down 2 players immediately at the start of this round, and an incredible bounce back. Really quick, shout out to Sloth for an S-tier frag on that play. I mean, I don't know if you caught that, but they rolled the frag under a cart in the room, and it went perfectly to that Connector player and managed to take them out, and that really disrupted a lot of the formation from F3. And wow, I mean, was that exciting or what? We go to overtime, first map, and it comes down to the wire. I mean, only 1 player was left alive at that. You could not ask for that to be closer.
No, you absolutely could not. The triple kill almost comes in for the clutch from F3, and instead, we go to Nexus leading the series, winning map 1 7-6. The scoreline on your scoreboard will show 7-5, and that's just because the tiebreakers are new to our UI. So it's our way of representing the win on Nexus's half so that we can keep track of things, obviously, and so it's easy for you to understand what's going on. But obviously, I know, and you know, that the score was 7-6. It's okay. While we have the break, a quick shout out to our sponsors, Triangle Factory, supporting the VRML this season with that cash into the prize pool, and also obviously the in-game cosmetics, the updates to the game. I mean, what a fantastic sponsor and supporter of the competitive space of the game that they've developed and show a lot of care for. You know, I really do enjoy watching these series because of the incredible tools that Triangle Factory's provided us. It goes all the way down from support, from in-game gameplay to cosmetics to the utility and tools that we use here on the desk. So a big shout out to Triangle Factory. Can't recommend them enough as a development team. We really do appreciate their support. They're also enabling us to do cool stuff with the merchandise. So again, I'll shout out the new merch drop. I'll link it multiple times in chat from onto the Exclaim store. We have just released the EU Top 8 postseason merch. It's got Breachers and VRML logos on it. It's got the Breachers Discord logo on it, the VRML Discord logo on it, and it's got all of the EU qualifying teams on the back and their logos. So that does mean Cheeky Breaky is on the back there with their big surprised face and the beanie. It's great. It's a good shirt. I recommend you check it out. It's on the Exclaim store right now. We'll also be doing that for North America, likely dropping once we start the NA Top 8 postseason a few hours from now. So please do go out and pick up the merch. That merch and support and you buying it goes back to support the VRML. And we need that support to do things like events and run a website and do a lot of behind the scenes work that we're excited to debut this year for you, but can't tell you about. And so we do need that support from you. It goes a long, long way to help us continue to grow the VRML and the VR ecosystem of esports. It's what we want to do, and you're going to see a lot of news coming out from VRML on all of the efforts that we put in to grow the space. So do keep your eyes peeled. A lot of exciting updates coming down the line, maybe even something you'll see this weekend if you keep your eyes open on all the channels. But we've been working diligently over the course of the off season, and I think you're going to see a lot of that come through this year in particular. So again, the support is tremendous. It's needed, and we really do appreciate it. So if you do want to maybe not even get the shirt per se, but just want to support us, you can do that by subscribing, following, free stuff like that does help a lot as well. Hit the thumbs up button already if you haven't. That's going to help us get out to more folks and help us grow this space, which is what we are trying to do. A timeout has been called, I'm being informed. So what we will do is go to a brief break, and when we come back, we'll be diving into the second map of this best of 3 series. And a reminder that after this, we have Acer EU versus the Challenger Cup winner Chaotic. And then, once EU finishes, we'll be diving into the North American Top 8 with 2 more series, best of 3s, and more action. So today is not done, it's only begun, and what a start, Bob. Strap in, get ready, more is to come. We're going to go to a brief break. When we come back, map 2. Well, if you're paying attention, you saw it in the ads. Was that Season 3 skin on a debut again, and man, it looks good, Bob. That is what these players played for to get here. They've earned it. It's going to be given to them soon, but there's also a lot on the line with the cash. 1,000 for first place, 700 for second. And we're going to get into our second map of this best of 3 series for the start of our top 8 single elimination bracket. For those tuning in, unaware of what you're here for, my name's Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by Gibular Bob. And so far, Bob, we've had a great opening series. Map 1 went stellar. How are you feeling to kick off the EU postseason?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before we went to break, I mean, this, you could not ask for a better opening map. I mean, and a great introduction to overtime as well.
Yep, totally.
We went all the way, all 13 rounds, and it was just fantastic. And one thing's for sure, I mean, neither team here, I think, is going to run away with this second map. It's going to be very, very close. It's very, very close on map number 1. I'm excited to see where we're going to go. We're actually going to head to ship for our second map here, but
we'll talk more about the maps and the format in a second. I do want to quickly shout out everyone tuning in and appreciate you. And if you are new, this is the best of the best for Breachers. Breachers VR is a VR FPS. All of these players are playing in virtual reality, and they're duking it out against each other in what has been a 13-week-long regular season. We're in the postseason now, where these teams have qualified automatically into the top 8 elimination bracket that we have now. And it's do or die, Bob. The loser this afternoon has their season over with. There's no double elimination. There's no chance to win back through the loser's bracket. It is this, or you advance on, or your season's over. And that pressure has to start to be creeping into the minds of F3 right now, because they are down a map. If you remember, map 1 went to the way of Nexus in a tiebreaker, like we said. So how do you think F3's feeling? We're going to run some replays from that last series because there was a bunch of them, but I mean, what a battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. If you're F3 in this scenario, it's going to sting to lose. I think this is probably one of the toughest spots to lose in Breachers VRML, because, you win, if you're in Challenger Cup, you get knocked out of Challenger Cup. Okay, Challenger Cup is, it's a really tough one to begin with.
Yeah.
But if you're in this top 8 stage, you're like right on the cusp of going to semifinals, but you fall short and your season's over and you're not in the money yet. You're just kind of in this first stage, and it can be very frustrating to lose at this point. Yeah. And we'll see if F3 lets the pressure get to them, but should be an exciting map too.
Here we go into that second map. It is Ship. For those unaware, Ship reworked from season 2 to 3, and it's been a sore spot, I think, for a lot of teams, Bob. They've had a hard time really finding comfortability in the updated Ship layout. Finding the rhythm of success in it is challenging sometimes, and we get to see it now on display at the highest level. So I imagine both these teams are pretty comfortable with Ship now, right? We're not going to see any of that unfamiliarity with the layout, and if anything, it's only going to be focused strategies from here on as the foam goes down early on the outside of B, quickly pushing off its entire B defense.
And here comes the F3 offense pushing into fire. The wall now open. Frag toss to the back of the room, but Pixel Player manages to escape that. 2 minutes on the clock, plenty of time for this push to develop. Namguden looking for some damage, but a next tier frag from Joshi and a quick follow-up from Serenity. Namguden might also find Smoked Salmon, but they are actually on 3 health, and here comes the pinch from Buck, but Joshi and Quinn are watching that, and one goes down, but Joshi was able to catch that refrag. Smoked Salmon finds the Serenity, looking for a follow-up, but Circle manages to shut that down. It's now up to Sid Sloth, who goes down to Joshi, and a very fast opening from F3, but hey, I mean, that was very, very successful, and I got to shout out, they watched those angles and those flank, especially the flank angles, very, very carefully.
Yeah, they were very aware that Nexus were going to try and pinch on the sides there. And, an unfortunate disconnect. Hopefully they can sort that out quickly on F3's side. But yeah, they cut that out really nicely. And, you know, like you said, the initial nade there in particular coming in from Joshi on the back end as we do have this all-out brawl over B site is vital. It loosens up the onside defense over the top, and it allows them to then shift their attention to the flank. Because they catch that early kill, they go, okay, hey, let's both then draw our attention to what is inevitably going to be the pinch. They catch it out by stacking, because if they hadn't stacked, that would have been one kill and then a transfer to another. So that would have been bad news if there wasn't more than one player holding the angle. They understood their HP values, that they had one on low HP, one on high, and they took advantage of that, especially in the pistol situation. When you're in your pistol rounds, you have the ability to stack and take advantage of that extra player a lot more so than if everyone's running with Vezins or SMGs. And so it's really, again, great coordination from F3, what you expect from a team that has their back against the wall and has to win, and a great opening offensive point on ship.
And here comes the push from F3 once again. They're playing aggressive here, moving into Helm, and they're going to open up this hatch. Now, here's the thing. If they do decide to open this hatch, they need to have somebody up here, maybe even two people watching over this particular hatch, because if Sid Sloth can get control of Helm here, they can absolutely completely destroy the F3 push onto Site A. So they have to be very careful about the way that they play this. And as I speak about Sloth, here they are over in communications. Quinn manages to find the kill onto Buck, and it's a good start for F3, but Sloth is getting ever closer to that communications door. Serenity may go down. They drop. Namguden goes down, and they now know that somebody is upstairs. And it's all going to come down to how well Sloth can play this hatch.
Yeah, they got to work away from it now. They can't sit at this hatch too long. They've lost control of that space, and so they have to kind of push. Serenity, recognizing this, is extending out, trying to get some shots down the hallway. Quinn finds another kill, and in the push out, there's the drop down. Sloth catches another through the hatch. Circle is still here, but it's a 3v3. A great bounce back from Nexus as they fend off what was otherwise a nicely controlled F3 entry.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. Sloth was able to catch the fleeing Namguden. And it's very unfortunate here for F3, and it's typically why I don't like to push that particular hatch, because now they're in kind of a rough spot. We might see a rotation through to bathroom, but that EMP is still down in the lounge outside of Site A. And maybe Joshi is going to pinch through Site B. Yeah, they're in Site B, walking through connector here. Nobody was watching. Sprat looking to push, and Joshi may catch this kill. Oh, no, they go down, but Sprat is quickly refragged, and this was a good pivot by F3 because they are now in a 2 versus 2, and the EMP is planted, so time is in their favor.
Really good swing. The duo is defending with SMGs in hand. As they do relocate, another Quinn goes down. Sloth coming vitally into the push. Circle gonna try and extend out and find their kill, and they can't. Smoke Salmon does the job. EMP, plenty of time left on the defuse, and Nexus will tie this up 1-1. And Bob, this is how it's gonna be. We're gonna continue to battle back and forth this afternoon between these two squads, and it's now even on economy. So likely another SMG round. Only 2 left alive through Nexus isn't huge. And so, oh, look at that. F3 are going to buy big. They're going to go for the full buy here off of that loss still.
And we'll see. Hopefully they can get a player back in because they are running with 4 right now. But
did they sub Quinn in? In like after the first round?
Did. Okay, there's Joshi. Yeah, they've got the roster together now.
Yeah.
So well, hopefully things continue to go well and they don't have any technical issues. But I think F3 made the right call to switch up on the side. I think all things considered, they had a pretty decent strategy there, but ultimately I think their players were too spread out.
Yeah.
Player numbers, if you know that one is on one side of the map and the other's on the other side of the map, player numbers stick together, double team the one person and then go and get the other, just kind of isolate them and take them out. But, good play by Nexus because they were both able to win those 1v1s and just collapse on those final 2 F3 players. And yeah, again, shout out to Sid Sloth because they knew exactly how to play that with the flank. Took control of the hatch, and like I said, if you lose control of this hatch and you have that opened, it could be game over for that A push, and that's exactly what happened to F3. But we'll see. I mean, they're not out of it by any means. As Nightfire pointed out, they bought big into this round 4 rifles. That means if one of those rifle players goes down, Nexus has the potential to pick one up for themselves.
They've got a health syringe as well to toss around between the team if they do need it, and they do, as it does get tossed. We like to see that happening. It's the beauty of VR, something you only really see in virtual reality, the sharing of utility. As the push comes out, foam goes down, wall likely to be breached at A. Serendity's looking to cover their flank, make sure there isn't going to be a pinch coming through, and likely find Buck, who is tucked in here. Shots come in, and we have a little bit of a back and forth on the corner. Buck drops back. Serenity has won that opening, and it allows this offense to push in, but some big damage onto Quinn from that fire. They'll have to back off in the trades. We get down to a 3v4. Nexus still holding down A site nicely. There's a good kill from Sloth. Shuts down the advancement up to EMP. But there goes the EMP plant. And now Joshy Quest holding things down. And only one left on the attack. Sloth has to push back on the EMP retake.
And Quinn manages to make it down the stairs before Sid Sloth can find that headshot. There's now just 45 seconds between Sid Sloth and losing this round. Joshy and Quinn taking some very good positions here. Sid may find the headshot onto Joshy. Oh no, they're actually completely out of the site. And this could be a very, very difficult retake here for Sloth because they have to find those both kills. And yeah, I think that's the good call, is to maybe just save here because it's going to be a tough win. And they had 2 heals on them. And I don't think that was the right play to make there. They're all across the map from each other. Obviously, Sid Sloth doesn't know that, but still, you have to take your situation into consideration, and probably better to just save the rifle and the heals.
I mean, it's tough, right, Bob? Because they are close. They have won map 1. They need this map win, and they've got themselves an advancement onto the semis. And that is big for this team right now, going up against F3, in my opinion. But maybe those thoughts are creeping into the mind of, hey, I can clutch the 1v2 right now. If I go for the plays, I can pick up this double kill, lock us into a tie 2-2, or an advanced 2-1 lead, get the snowball rolling. And so you have to either lean into that and sometimes find success with the big multi-kills, the clutch moments, the do or die, clutch or kick kind of vibe, or like we were saying, eco. And obviously from a spectator perspective, we can see all. So it's like, oh yeah, don't push into that trap. Eco your value, but their minds maybe, I'm going to push into this trap and win it, or I'm going to push into this open environment and catch the double kill. And it's only now that you see those kind of judgment calls really coming into effect. Sometimes players like to go big during the regular season. Oftentimes they play cautious. In the postseason, it's really, what are you going to do? How are you going to play this out when it matters most?
I think that's a great way to put it. I mean, they won map 1, and maybe they're like, oh, I can make this. We can do this and get out of here on map 2. But you really have to have that cool head sometimes and really determine, okay, there's 2 people here. That EMP has already been planted by the time I'm in this room, and I have 2 heals. Maybe it's just better to hang back, but. In any case, Nexus lose that round to F3. I mean, going off of the pattern that we've had, there's still plenty of potential for them to bring this one back and tie it up. But Sloth, not droned out by the drum once again. F3 have opened the hatch as they prepare for that site A push. Quinn found an early pick on the Buck. Oh, and they almost got caught by an F-tier frag. An S-tier frag. But not quite. And they managed to escape. Foam on the wall for site A, and things might actually go well for F3 this time because they have control over that hatch.
Yeah, and Quinn and Quest are a little bit wary of the flank, obviously. They saw the utility toss. You can kind of see they are waiting to some degree, but Joshy could have been absolutely swung by Sid Sloth there, and they would have gone down. So fortunate that in that exchange of utility, they do keep their lives. Pixel's tucked in behind a curtain, waiting to debut their famous dance, and we'll see if that curtain drops on their play or not, as the push not really focused in on that side, more in this bathroom area, getting ready to push into A. A nice opener. Salmon catches Joshy Quest, but Circle looking for the refrag. Where's the push coming in? There's a shot from the backside from Gnome through the wall. Serenity coming in to reinforce the entire squad, getting ready to push. Swung by Sloth is still swinging their Sloth. And it's really a slow swing from Sid Sloth, and that's, I guess, to the name. As they do swing, EMP's planted. Here's Sloth right in time. Catches one.
The silent assassin escapes as Scrat finds Quinn and is up to Nam Guden, who looks to push out and over by the bathroom angle, but Sloth is going to cash that kill with the Jesper nonetheless. They caught 2 players with a Jesper in that round, and here's the thing with this push. I see the intention from F3. They were going to open up as many angles as they could and then just all collapse onto the site. Here's why that didn't work. They did not push that fast enough. Right. And also, they continued to feed Smoke Salmon at that angle inside A. They fed 2 players to Salmon. And ultimately, by the time they were getting ready to push, they didn't have enough people to full on collapse onto that site. And here's, the counter for that. They had the wall behind Salmon foamed. They just needed to blow that up and have somebody there to catch them off guard and maybe push somebody else through the door so you pinch them. So it just was a faulty execution here from F3. Joshi manages to reconnect again. It looks like they're having some technical issues here, but once again, we find ourselves in this pattern of one team moves ahead, the other bounces back, and then the other team gets ahead, the other team bounces back. So it's definitely going to be a very, very fun rest of the second map.
And into it we go, all tied up. Round 5, not a full buy by any means for F3 as they come off of that loss hurting on the economy. That was a big investment round, right, Bob? That was the round they went big on rifles.
And here we go, round 5 as, again, as Nightfire pointed out, very hurt on the eco. They've got 2 players super ecoing with Jespers. And we've got a Cyclone and 2 Omens. So, very strapped for cash is F3. But you know what? Next round, round 6, they're going to have plenty of money here. They're going to bounce back with some rifles. So it's all about doing as much damage as you can. And that's not the way you want to start off as Joshi goes down. But Serenity manages to find a Vezin and heal with the Jesper. So already you're up on value. And if they can continue to play for some picks here, they might be able to get even more damage onto the Nexus economy.
Shots through the wall, not connecting, all bit of guesswork as their first opening hole does get exposed. And Smoke Salmon finds Gnome Guden through that immediate breach. A very quick pickup from them on the corner peak, anticipating that as soon as that wall went down, they'd have that line. And Salmon will continue to push up, maybe getting ready to spring a trap on the swing. They could catch a double. Could catch Circle and Quinn if they're fortunate enough on this peek out if they time it just right. And again, the amount of utility in the hands of Circle and Quinn is limited. Their gun's limited. It's an SMG and a pistol, so Vezin definitely could do some good work in the space. Serenity is covering a little bit, but they're on and off on their coverage, pinging back and forth between poking out and trading utility. And as that wall opens up, what do you think is going to happen here, Bob?
Serenity may catch Pixel Player. Pixel Player goes to their own fire nonetheless. Circle finding Smoke Salmon. Buck catches 1, 2.
The triple!
3, triple from Buck. And there's no stopping them. And that's case agreed from F3. I don't know. They had the rifle. They had a heal. And they did kill 3 players from Nexus. I think you probably just continue to play back. And I guess they thought they could push in and potentially overwhelm that final player there, but just not able to happen.
I mean, it was gifted to them, Bob. They had the self-immolation there coming in up through the middle to that kill immediately afterwards. I mean, that was basically here. F3, try and take it. And as they go in, the triple kill. We'll play it again. An absolute clutch. It's moments like these that'll get you cash money at the end of the day and push you up to that first or second place position. The triples from Buck, absolutely swung by Buck. to catch those and ultimately lock in a 3-2 lead for Nexus. They've won map 1 7-6 on map 1. I can see people in chat already confused, even though I did my best to explain it at the very beginning. When it did happen, our scoreboard does not have room for tiebreakers. Therefore, we have to represent a win by showing 7-5. We, of course, all know the score was 7-6, but our scoreboard, to represent the win on Nexus's side, will show 7-5 for map 1. Map 2, score is accurate. 3-2, Nexus in the lead, and we're diving into round 6, the last round of the half.
And here comes the push onto site A as F3 are moving quickly here. This is their final round on the offensive half. It's either going to end that 3-3 tie for F3 or going to be the 4-2 lead from Nexus, which would actually be the most disparity we've seen yet between the scores, if that happens. But a minute 50 now as the walls are opened up. The two-prong approach here is swung by Buck, finds Quinn. A second goes down. Joshy Quest looking to maybe find a refrag, but it does not happen. Two more players over in Helm, but Circle picks up a lot of damage from Sid Sloth. And wow, both Nom and Circle very, very low on health, and this could be very bad for F3.
There's a health syringe, I thought, for a second there in Joshy's hands. They must have tossed it down, in the Circle, who now heals up. They'll trade that over to Nam, who will eventually use it once the charge recharges, and we should have a full health 3 before a push from F3. They've all got Bezins in hand, and Scrat's going to catch another. Salmon over the top, finding some good shots, suppressing Nam down, avoiding their ability to poke up and catch any repeaks, and that's what is happening. There's the nice catch, though, from Circle, as they do hold the angle. Overconfident on their swing, catch some damage, but they have to push up because time is ticking, Bob. 45 seconds on the clock.
And again, we're getting down to a scenario where one team just does not have a whole lot of time to get that EMP in and planted. Circle and Nam Guden pretty low on health, especially because they're going up against 3 rifles. Scrat looks to have a blind fire on that open wall, but only 25 seconds left on the clock. Circle pushes in. They were not working with Nam Guden there, and just not communicated well. Nam Guden is going to look for the full-on rotate over to site B, but there's a door blocker up. They have no choice but to push in here. Only 10 seconds left on the clock, and picks a player down on 2 health, but they managed to find that headshot to make it a 4-2 game with Nexus in the lead by 2 points. This is, funnily enough, the first time this has actually happened in this matchup.
Yeah, a 2-point lead has been secured. And Nexus now swap sides. They go on the attack. F3 defend. We reset economies back to the pistol round. And we do this all over again. But F3 get the chance to hunker down. And I don't know, ship arguably more defensive sided than offensive sided. So maybe 2 offensive points locked in by F3 is the foot in the door that we'd like to talk about typically on a map that leans to the defense. F3 on the side swap now have to lock in a strong and dominant defensive half, but they have wiggle room. They can afford a 5-1. They can even afford a 4-2 and tie this series down to another tiebreaker, which I don't know if anybody wants, quite frankly, but we do. I know we do. I know we want the tiebreaker, but still, it's a close one still. F3 are very much in this off of the side swap. And we're going to see if they can get momentum going into the pistol round win in this round.
And here we go. Nexus offensive half. I've heard it go both ways. The chip is defensive sided, that it's offensive sided. I guess we're going to find out here as we get started with Nexus's half. They are again up 2 rounds over F3. Reminder that they've already won the first map in the series. That went 7-6 in overtime. Stream assets bug, so that doesn't show up. But in any case, here we go with round number 7. As here comes a very aggressive push from Nexus. Smoke Salmon has already found Joshy. And maybe we're starting to see F3 fall off in momentum a little bit here. They've had a very stressful first half of the second map, and a good incendiary catches a bit of damage onto Circle, and Nam Guden. Circle is able to take out Sid Sloth, Frag tossed into the back of Pump, doesn't find anybody, but the rest of the team is routed over to the other side where Pixel Player finds the kill onto Circle. It's now a 3 versus 4, numbers in favor of Nexus. Pixel Player getting that EMP planted. Smoke Salmon is looking the wrong way. They're refragged by Pixel Player. Serenity very low, and they catch. Swung by Buck, but hold on. Scrat was here, and that EMP is still planted. Very possible for Scrat to win this.
Half HP. Lower than that. Serenity only a pistol bullet away, and there it is. The shot connected. Nam trying to bait out the EMP. No, they're going for the stick. Shots connect onto the shoulder. Nam down to a slice of HP. 13 left. Has to find multiple headshots or get the defuse. And oh my goodness, they go for it again. It's so close to getting, I think it's second or third tick on the EMP defuse. There's the second. No, they try to get the third and can't. And it's Nexus. 3 points in the lead. The first time we've had that all series long, and they get closer and closer to advancing to the semifinals and eliminating Formula 3.
A very solid attempt by Nam there. I mean, you know, I often say when you're in that situation, pros don't fake, and you could very clearly tell that Nam was trying their best to not do that, but ultimately, you know, it's a very stressful situation when you're in that kind of 1v1. And it worked out for Nexus in the end there. A good thought process by Scrat to actually shoot the hand of Nam Guden. They didn't full-on push into the room. They actually just shot the hand of Nam, and I think that caused Nam to panic a little bit and ultimately push the round in the hands of Nexus, who are now just 2 rounds away from knocking out F3 here in the top 8 qualifiers. So very, very solid job from Nexus. They've played this map very well.
One of these teams will be going up against the winner of our next matchup. Or no, actually, they'll be going up against the winner of tomorrow in Group B. But we do have another matchup after this one. Acer EU versus Chaotic, the winners of the Challenger Cup. That will be pretty quickly after this. We have some exclusive interviews that will be debuting of Acer and Chaotic before the series begins. But there's still a lot of EU action left if this series ends in the next 2 rounds. And that's a big if still. F3 are here to fight. They've got themselves SMG's investments. Pickups here are going to be big on that cash front like we've talked about before with the meta shift. And we'll see if they can get their footing here on round 8.
And SMGs across the board from both teams here. Serenity actually pinching through the smoke, and they may find Buck. Do they catch Buck? Oh, Joshi finds one. Serenity still in the flank. It's a massacre as F3. What on earth happened there? I mean, that was an aggressive play, and it did not work at all for Nexus. And I think everybody who wrote off F3 might have just been in for a rude awakening there.
Yeah, again, the SMG investment also has the benefit, Bob, of not being too big of an investment now. The adjustment on how much that costs. So we do see Nexus able to now go for a different style of buy in that they're going for the 3 Vezin to 1 Omen pistol purchase. And we saw this happening on F3's side when they were on the offense, but that was after they won. You know, and so it's interesting to see now after it's the investment that they made. They saved a little bit of money for this moment. If they did lose after their pistol round, they'd be able to buy here. They're going to be able to be competitive against what is arguably a maybe even less strong, less competitive kit from the F3 side. We're seeing only 1 Vezin, Vipers and Omens in the hands of F3, 3 Vezins, 2 Omens in the hands of Nexus. So even though Nexus just lost, they're actually coming into this round better equipped, in my opinion, than the F3 squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the value of utility cannot be understated, especially in Season 3. I think teams are finally starting to understand the value of all pieces of utility. You know, the frag has been changed a few times in the way that worked. That used to be the solid go-to grenade. But incendiaries are now, I mean, the incendiary usage and smoke usage compared to Season 1 or preseason has gone up by like 200%. We're seeing utility that just was not thought of as useful in preseason being used now. Joshi Quest finding Sid Slot very early into the round, and Serenity caught by Pixel Player. Good read there from Pixel, as it looks like we do see a stack up outside of site B. Nexus are going to look to collapse on this quickly.
What is their plan? They foamed the top of B hatch, likely to draw a rotation from circle, and then maybe push up once that hatch foam goes down, because they're definitely not pushing through the hatch. It's all a distraction. Quinn on the stairs, gonna find a kill. That's gonna slow things down for a moment as Scrat has to turn and pick up the refrag. In the meanwhile, they lost another in their effort to push, so it's a 3v2 in favor of F3, trying to claw their way back into this one on their defensive half.
And again, we see Nexus pushing quickly, and it's actually not working out too well for them.
Yeah.
This is, the second round in the row where they've tried to really pick up the pace, but have lost a lot of their players in the process. And in this case, they are one down to F3, but this hasn't stopped them before, and it won't stop them now as Smoked Salmon finds one circle in the middle of site B as a frag is tossed up to the breach. Good positioning, but a little bit too shallow, about a C tier frag. And 30 seconds on the clock as Scrat pushing up. And oh my goodness, are we going to... I thought for a moment we might see a complete switch up on sites, but it looks like Smoked Salmon and Scrat are going to push this here. Frag toss over the kitchen sink. Nam Guden looks to toss one in response, and that might catch Scrat. No, one goes down. It's up to Nam Guden to rotate back around to site through site B. They toss the Vezin as bait. They catch Smoked Salmon looking for the double kill, and they almost catch Scrat as they turned to run away. A lot of pressure here. It's up to Nam Guden once again. They have another 1v1 chance against Scrat, and here comes the swing, but no, Scrat once again finds the kill against Nam Guden, and it is match point for Nexus here on map 2.
Just chaotic on this swing. You could see in the way that they had their gun held, and when you look back at the replay, it's a panic. It's a scramble to draw their gun down and catch the crouched player there. They were not anticipating someone to be right at their hip, and I don't think either player was, quite frankly, but a good kill nonetheless from Nexus. They go to series point, Bob, one away from advancing on and eliminating Formula 3. Not the way you want to go if you're F3. You don't want to be down in 2 and have your season over at the start of the single elimination bracket. And so I imagine they're feeling quite a bit of pressure right now, Bob. And I got to wonder if that's going to impact how they can execute on on what could be the last round of this series.
It's hard to imagine that we're to this point, I
know, it's so quick. I feel like it is so quick.
Yeah, we had such a strong opening from both these teams on Factory, and then again, I think it really could be some fatigue setting in here for F3. I mean, it got so close on round one, or excuse me, on map 1, and they just weren't able to follow through and get that map. And so I think, they've been on, 110% this whole time. Maybe they're just starting to fall back on momentum a little bit. Good angle from Buck, by the way, as they pick up the kill onto Joshi. And first pick has once again been given up to Nexus, opening the door for them to go all the way with this push. Good ability to take space from both Sloth and Buck as they prepare outside of site B. Good frag as Quinn down to 1 health for a moment there. And a minute 50 on the clock as Quinn actually routed right into the feet of Buck, and they managed to pick up that kill. Serenity found one of their own. Nam Guden with Pixel Player. Uh-oh, did I speak too soon? It wouldn't be the first time. Swung actually found Nam Guden through Quinn. That was a crazy kill. And it's up to a 3 versus 2. Let's see if Scrat and Sid Sloth can bring it home for their team.
Sloth has been slothing, crawling their way through this map, swinging and finding some kills. Low HP across the board for F3. Quinn has the syringe, so we should see a recharge over time. But that's going to take some rotation, some movement, some tossing of utility, a brief moment of or lapse in coverage of their angles. But not long. And eventually, if they do all heal up, they'll be able to lock in, take the 3-2 advantage that they have. Full HP with utility still down. It's looking pretty good for F3 on the hold here.
Yeah, they just don't really have a good way to approach the sites. Both Scrat and Sloth are very, very far apart. And now with only 40 seconds left, Sid is in the site and could get the jump on Quinn here As Serenity goes down,
the double!
and it's now just down to Circle in a 1 versus 2 for all the marbles here. This is either going to keep F3 in the postseason, or it's going to be their ticket out. As we see Scrat drop down the vent, Circle's going to push that kill. They find it, looking for the second underslot. Oh my goodness, what a clutch by Circle, as F3 are not out of this yet. 4-6 with the door open for them to come back.
It is so tight here. The clutch is back and forth. I thought Sloth locked it in for them off of that double kill, but Circle steps up to the plate, says, I want to be the last replay of the round, and they are. This push-up here, perfectly timed. The extension of the arm to get that extra bit of reach around the corner to catch their kill. I mean, just really nicely done coming in from Quinn, and it does, it goes to show you that if your KD's not positive, it doesn't mean that you can't have a big impact in a series, because it's kept F3 alive for another round.
I'm looking at the chat, and this is before this crazy clutch, because we are on a 2.5 minute delay, and everybody's going, oh no, it might be Jover. It's over. It's not over. It's never over until it's over. Anything can happen, especially here in the Breachers VRML, and what a tremendous clutch by Circle. So now F3, I think the mental is going to be up from that one. The economy's up. They have the ability to get some wins here against Nexus. If they can win this one, it's going to be 5-6, and they're getting ever closer to potentially another overtime. Now, I don't want to speak too soon. Nexus, again, still has a lead here. So we'll see if they can stop F3 before they become too powerful. Here comes the push from Nexus into Helm. Foam outside of the A wall is Joshi. Almost got a pixel peek onto Salmon here. Minute 45. And Nexus just inching their way into the site. There it is. Beautiful pixel from Joshi, and a great way to open the round. First pick now in the hands of F3 with 1.5 minutes to go. And there's some utility, and F3 are not wasting any time with their defense here.
Sloth swinging slowly as the Nexus team tries to draw the attention of what is mostly the entirety of the F3 defense here. So maybe Sloth can find something on a flank, but there's no open walls for them to really push through. Scrat finds a nice connection onto the head, but doesn't find that full kill. And so 4v5, not too bad. Nexus still have a hope, but F3 are definitely in control on the hold, have the utility advantage by a large margin, and moving in is not going to be easy for Nexus.
45 seconds left on the clock as F3 holding down the forts. In communications, we do have Namguden over inside B, waiting for Sid Sloth to make some kind of move, but only half a minute. Nexus have burned, dare I say, too much time, and they're going to have to go hard and fast here unless they're going to get... Oh my goodness, the whole team is rotating off to side B. They got baited by the push, but it doesn't matter because Buck is alone. They were able to quickly bounce back there, and Buck manages to find a rifle, but Serenity denies them the opportunity to do any more damage. It's a 5-6 game.
We're still here. We're still headed to what could be the tiebreaker. Economies are back in stable, though, for Nexus. They had an eco round there. That was 2 omens and pistols for them, so any kills ultimately are net positive. What happened to Smoke Salmon? Did they just throw a weapon over the side of the boat? I hope not. That'd be a big mistake.
It spawns back.
Okay. They picked it up. All right. But anyway, an eco round again. So I think for Nexus, one that they kind of are going to be like, okay, if we lose, not a big deal. We're not going to let that hurt us. We're not going to let that mentally impact us. I think that's kind of a strat you have to take. You have to be able to readjust and reassess the importance of every round, despite how close you feel to victory. And I mean, they're close. They are a point away from winning and advancing onto the semis. This is a big moment for them. It's a big opportunity for them to potentially get up into that top 1-2 spot, be competing for $1,000 on the line at first place. It's a great chunk of change, courtesy of our sponsor, Triangle Factory, supporting the VRML this season in that prize pool. We greatly appreciate their commitment to the VR esports scene, and it makes what we're doing here possible. All the great production value we put into it, all of the great clips, the highlights, the interviews, all thanks to the support from Triangle Factory.
Is this it for Nexus? Are we going to head to that overtime round, or are they going to be able to keep F3 down just before they can rise to the occasion? We'll find out very, very soon, as Smoke Salmon actually picked up a lot of damage at the start of the round. Trip Mines out, not catching any cheap kills, and there's a frag tossed as Smoke Salmon look to have a go at the inside of sight. B walls now open. Good and Stindier going to slow down Nexus a little bit. And Nexus tossing one, but it doesn't quite go where they wanted to. Joshy finds the kill onto Smoke Salmon. First pick given up by Nexus, but the EMP is getting planted. Joshy pushes out, finds the second. The third do get taken down by Scrat. And it's now down to a 2 versus 3. Scrat manages to find Serenity. Finds Circle, and it's now down to Quinn and Namgood, as that EMP is finished by Nexus. Buck now back outside in Infirmary. Scrat rotating back towards the stairs. It's all coming down to this. Quinn and Namgood stacking on top of each other. One goes down, but Quinn catches the refrag, and it's now a 1v1. The marbles. Quinn looking for the kill. They pick both ton of damage. Quinn is still not down yet. Buck looks to have a go at the breach. The EMP taking down ever so closer as Quinn looks for it. No, they find it. And Nexus are your winners. They're going to be moving on to play in the semifinals next weekend.
Congratulations to Nexus for coming out on top in map number 2 on Ship. In this best of 3, they've eliminated Formula 3 EU in our top 8 single elimination tournament. They'll advance on to next weekend to play the winner of Group B, which will start tomorrow, same time, same place, 9 a.m. PST, 12 Eastern. Now, we take a brief break. We get ready for our next series, Acer EU versus Chaotic. But quickly, Bob, let's review these match clips. Let's talk a little bit about this series, because what a great opening best of 3 for us to dive into for the EU postseason.
I don't know if you could get a better outcome than that. I mean, it was just fantastic from both teams. I mean, great bounce back from F3. Definitely not something that you want to deny them, because they played very, very well in the second half of that game. And it came down to that 1v1 between Quinn and Buck, and great movement from Buck there. They caught a lot of damage onto Quinn, and ultimately Quinn had good movement as well, but solid. Factory got down to overtime. Amazing performance from Nexus there. And I feel like they were kind of the underdogs heading into that overtime round, and they managed to claim that first map. And then it looked like a very textbook first half for them here on Ship, but ultimately F3 were able to put a lot more pressure on them than they were expecting. And, I think what happened to F3 here, they just didn't have enough rounds in the end. If they had a better first half, it could have been a very, very different outcome.
I mean, end of the day, Joshy Quest may be the MVP on finding the first pick of nearly every round for Nexus.
Right.
I mean, that really set them up for success in almost all of these rounds. No, Joshy Quest was on F3. Wow, yeah. Well, I think that's what kept it close, was Joshy Quest constantly finding these early picks, right? They were constantly getting these early trades and aggressive openings that put F3 into a good competitive spot for the rest of the round. So I think that's what kept it so close. It's what got us down to another potential tiebreaker nearly. But Nexus come out on top, and we get ready for more, Bob. We're going to go to a brief break. We're going to dive into some exclusive interviews with Acer EU and the Chaotic team. So stick around for those as we do dive into them. And when we come back, it will be map 1 of Acer EU versus Chaotic. Don't miss it.
As Adam might catch near side, and no! Adam does, but oh my goodness, what an aggressive angle on the corner, and they catch Grandma, they catch a second and a... Welcome back, everybody, to The Breachers, VRML. I'm your host, Skibular Bob, and today I'm joined by Acer EU. With me today, I have Ran6, Rise, and VR Zeta. How y'all doing today?
Yeah, good.
Awesome.
It's all right.
Awesome. And so just a couple quick questions for you here. First off, how does it feel to skip that Challenger Cup?
We haven't ever really played in the Challenger Cup, like ever, so I'm not too worried about it because we all know that we can consistently not play it. So not really much of a feat anymore. It's just like a job, really, just to skip Challenger Cup, get that out of the way.
Not a day in the office.
Exactly, yeah. And then that extra, game that we have to play is just not a worry for us at all. So we have more time to focus on the playoffs and what's coming forward.
Yeah, you get to skip a long day of Breachers there, so always a nice benefit. Now, did you expect to be that #1 team when you finished this season?
Yeah, we pretty much expected it. As Rand said, it was not really that hard to get it. But since we didn't lose a single time during the season, only 2 draws, everything else was a victory. We kind of expect that we're going to be at least top 3, and we're not surprised that we are top 1, actually.
Awesome. Now, did you have a best moment in mind for what really stood out to you this season?
Yeah, so for me as the captain, and I know it kind of differs from player to player, was being able to recover from the shaky off-season we had before the season begun. We had quite a few people exit the roster, and we were kind of in a very dark place. We managed to pull together some fantastic players who have actually stuck with us throughout the whole season, which is pretty rare, to be honest, in Europe, because you get a lot of roster changes. But these guys have all stuck together, kept their heads in the game, and seeing that team gel together in that second third week of the season, seeing it would come together just was really heartwarming for me, and that was definitely my proudest moment.
I think my best moment for the season was not part of VRML, but a few months ago we've been to VR Meet LAN that happened in Exeter, UK, and we managed to all meet each other, make a roster, and play against IVI, and even managed to win that one.
Yeah, really special to see that EU had their own LAN. You know, I know we couldn't get you out here for VRMLCon 2024, maybe at some point in the future, but yeah, it was great to see, and I watched it myself, and congratulations on your win against IV there. Now, we talked about the best moments of your season, but does one stand out to you as maybe a worst moment or one you would rather forget?
Yeah, the worst moment was probably these last 3 weeks, just about. I mean, we got a win out of our last 3 matches, but we did get a couple draws, which wasn't great. I mean, it kind of looked like we were shaky and sort of losing our place at that #1 spot. But to me, it was nothing really to worry about. I mean, no team is completely perfect. I mean, you can see that in the NA side as well. So the fact that we managed to even get 2 draws and still stay out of 0 losses is really impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely you've had a better record than your NA counterpart. So yeah, definitely super, 2 draws is definitely not the worst case scenario for this season. But talking about the closed qualifiers, which are your upcoming game, how are you preparing for that? Are you scrimming? Are you kind of taking it easy? How has the preparation for that been going?
The past week, we've been taking it easy because last few weeks before that have been pretty rough. We've had BCL to deal with, a few bad games in VRML. It's been a bit shaky. So we're trying to split it sort of into 2 parts this whole season. Just the first weeks leading up to the playoffs, we're going to forget all about that. Of course, we're going to remember people's strategies and what to play against. But just forget about mostly all the bad mindset that happened then. Have a break. Well, we did have a break inside the Christmas holidays and New Year, but now we're gonna set a fresh mindset and look only forwards for the upcoming playoffs and hopefully lock in for that and secure the bag.
Yeah, taking it one step at a time. Absolutely no problem with that strategy. Now, this final question is open to anybody who wants to answer, but if you did win that prize money, what would you do with it?
For me, I'm more just focusing on getting to the prize money, not what I'm going to do after we get it, because just because we came first doesn't mean we're going to win. I think for the last couple seasons, in fact, the team that has been ranked #1 hasn't won the season, in Europe even. So we definitely have to focus on getting there first, taking one game at a time, and then I'll worry about what I'm going to do with the money.
Yeah, as Rise is saying, I think the money is just a cherry on top, but what we really want is the title.
Exactly, because all three of us have never won a VRML season. We're all looking for that title, and it's going to be amazing if we get it. It's going to be ever so sweet.
All right, then. Well, we do want to thank Acer EU for giving us the opportunity to interview them. And quick shout out to this Acer EU team because they've had to sit through this process a couple different times, a couple retakes that we've had to do from my end. But
are you recording now?
I am, yes.
Good. I had to make the same jokes 3 times.
Yeah. But really quick, before we wrap up here, do you guys have anybody you want to shout out?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Blaze EU. Thank you, Blaze EU. Shout out to Hyper, Legulo. I hope you guys win the CC. But this will be aired after the CC, so hopefully I'm not eating my words here.
Yeah, shout out to the rest of the team that can make the interview. So that's Tabs, Gradma, Stick, Akira, and Extras. You 5, absolutely amazing this season. Can't wait to see you guys play in the finals.
And for me, I would like to shout out IVI and the Dynasty that they've left behind. We played them against Stuck Milan, as Zaida mentioned. Beautiful group of people, and it was amazing to talk to them and meet them. So shout out to them. Good group of rivals.
Absolutely. They're right next to each other. 1 goes down, 2 goes down.
That Reese is gonna give away immediately.
Shoot through the bomb. We might see a pre-fire. Oh my goodness! Welcome back, everybody, to the Breachers VRML. I'm your host, Gibular Bob, and today I'm here with Chaotic, the EU Challenger Cup winners. And they just actually won this past weekend, and they are going to be moving into this coming weekend, the close qualifiers, as the 8th seed. With me today, I have RJD, Malagar, and Nub Seal. How y'all doing?
Great.
Awesome. So really quick, because this is actually your very first time being interviewed here, go ahead. We'll start with you, RJD, and we'll move down. Explain, your role on the team for us.
Hello, I am RJD. I am the team captain and founder of Chaotic Esports.
Awesome. Malagar, how about you?
I am Malagar, and I work as the co-captain and IGL for our team.
Awesome. And Nub?
I am Nubseal, and I am roamer and entry frag.
Awesome. Cool. So, just going to get ahead and go right into the questions here. First off, it was a long and tough battle, but how did it feel to win that Challenger Cup?
It feels really good for us winning against Blaze because we have never won against them any time before, and we feel really good about winning.
Yeah, it was a huge win. I was there casting that, watching it. What a great comeback. Okay, now, did you go into that Challenger Cup expecting to walk out the winners, or was it just something that you realized could be possible as you moved through each round?
The thing is, we hadn't won a single game against Blaze in a scrim, and the 2 games before we had lost, so obviously it was really intimidating, but there were too many people rooting for us, so we went in and tried our best, believing we actually had the chance to win.
Nice. Yeah, love that was always the goal there. And again, big congratulations. So on that note, we've talked about Blaze EU a few times.
Yeah.
Would you say that Blaze EU was the toughest opponent you faced in Challenger Cup, or was there another team?
Well, there was a lot of really great teams in that Challenger Cup. Obviously, Blaze was the only ones who did beat us in the day 1. But we also cut it very, very close with Ethic, who were really good contenders. But I think everyone in that Challenger Cup was just on their form, so it was very, very challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Ethic, yeah, another very, very tough team. But hey, you're here now. You walked out as the winners. So, unfortunately, guys, there's no time to really rest or relax here because you are facing your next really tough challenge here, Acer EU, this coming weekend. So let me ask, what's the preparation been looking like? Have you been scrimming, practicing like crazy? How have things worked out?
Well, we've been trying to get at least a scrim and a practice a day, maybe like one off, one on, you know,
Okay.
scrim practice, testing out our strats, all this here. But obviously, we've been, after coming out of that CC, getting put up against Acer, it's going to be some challenge, but we're planning on giving it our all and hope for the best.
Awesome, and good luck with all the preparations and the
Thank
match
you very
itself.
much.
Now, this final question is open to any and all of you if you'd like to answer. What would you do with that prize money?
I can go first.
Go ahead,
I
Melanie.
would probably buy myself a new headset because the one I'm using is very old and is starting to break down, so it would help me with the future seasons.
Awesome. All right. Well, with all of that being said, again, big thank you to Chaotic. Good luck against Acer EU this weekend, and potentially, if you beat them and move on, good luck with the rest of that postseason. For now, that is going to do it for us over here at the Breaches VRML. I've been Gibular Bob. This has been Chaotic. Don't worry, there's plenty more interviews where this came from. We'll catch you all in the next interview. Have a fantastic rest of your night, everybody.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here into the final game of Group A in the Season 3 EU Top 8 single elimination bracket. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by my co-caster, Gibular Bob. Bob, how are you feeling this afternoon? It's our last matchup of EU for Group A.
Well, we're coming off of a spectacular battle between F3 EU and Nexus. If you're just joining us, that did go to Nexus 7-6 the first game, 7-5 the second game, and I think this matchup we're going to see. I don't know, the overwhelming majority of the chat voted for Acer. 27 votes, 77% said Acer, 22% said Chaotic. Don't underestimate Chaotic though. I mean, they are the Challenger Cup winners.
Yep.
And they've been practicing. I've interviewed them, and you just saw that play just before we hopped in here. They have been ready and practicing, and we'll see how they perform against Acer EU, but it will be a very, very big challenge, no doubt.
Yeah, I think Acer EU is coming in confident into this series, and how could you not? Your record is 10-0-2. They have not lost a game all season long. And this is something that Acer does. I think in Vale on the EU side, they were undefeated as well. Maybe on NA as well. They are a dominant organization across VR esports, but entirely most of the VRML leagues that we run as well. And they have confidence now based off of experience. You know, these names are familiar to us. Rise, Tabs, Akira, familiar faces on the Acer EU side that are now going to be bringing in their best of the best, their most focused effort to battle up against the underdog, Chaotic, who, like you said, have come off of the Challenger Cup win. But what do you do to get a leg up on a team that knows what they're doing, Bob? You go to a map that maybe they don't have a lot of experience on. One that, quite frankly, I think maybe we've cast twice all season long. We are headed into our first map of this best of 3 between Acer EU and Chaotic. Good damn. What do you think about this pick, Bob?
I love seeing damn. I love to see the newer maps get played because to that point, you know, like Factory, everybody knows Factory. Everybody knows the strategies on Factory. So it comes down to a lot of the execution of the plays. But on Damn, you know, the map has been in the game for a while.
True.
But it hasn't been played that often in VRML. You know, I've casted it a handful of times throughout the season. It's made an appearance on occasion, but there's still a lot of unknown angles, a lot of unknown plays that we could see some of these teams pull off here. And I'm always excited to see who's thinking outside the box. And this just so happened to be a map that Chaotic clutched up and beat Blaze EU on. Foreshadowing, I wonder. We'll see.
Indeed, we will. Chaotic and Acer duking it out as Acer go on the offense for our opening round 1. Pistols in hand as economies are even across the board. and it is the great equalizer of a playing field, the pistol round at the start of each half.
And here comes the push from Acer EU into Generator, as VRZ actually picks up a little bit of damage from Malagar. And they're developing. It looks like this is going to be a Site A, but they actually have not approached this from the usual angle. And again, that's something that I love to see. You know, again, this is not something that you typically see. Damn, again, this is, you know, a map that's not played too often is where I'm going with that. And a minute 40 on the clock as the push is starting to develop. But there was Rise pinching Malagar, shutting down one of their players. Nubsia pushes, finds the kill onto Stick, but that EMP has been planted. Nub picks up the double, looking for a triple, but Akira was there to stop any hope of that from happening. Red Panda looking for maybe Zaida or Akira, but that EMP ticking down, and Chaotic are going to have to look to defuse that quickly.
Yeah, Panda and Xenos trying to make a dual effort here on their swing. They're going to have to time things right if they want to be able to stack, and there it is. A nice swing from Xenos on the short corner. Reinforced over the top, and they spin for a double. No Red Panda catches the kill and saves the day as Rise is alone on the retake, trying to push up. Catches one, catches two. Do they catch it in time? Panda can't defuse. Yeah.
There's 0.15 seconds on the clock. I thought you know, when you're in that scenario that Red Panda was in, I think they realized, oh my goodness, the EMP is still going off. You killed Rise, but the round is not over. The defenders still have to get rid of that EMP. That was almost tragedy there for Chaotic, but you know what? They stuck together as a team. They played off of each other. That's something that you see from these top level teams, and that's, you know, Acer wasn't quite doing that. And if Chaotic can continue to just play off of each other, stick together in groups, they might be able to find a lot of momentum here against Acer.
Well, that's one way to open up this best of three as the underdogs of the afternoon by a large margin. Chaotic coming through our Challenger Cup, so not qualifying as one of the top 7 teams, is now challenging Acer. They were granted 9th, so, you know, arguably right there. They were 2 away from being one of the top 7 teams this season. But, yeah, it's only the pistol rounds. Let's not get ahead of ourselves as we do get into that second round. It is going to be another pistol round for Acer. No omens coming in from here. Bob, it is going to be the full eco.
Good intel here from Acer EU. They're outlining the path that they're going to take. And they're opening up the walls, getting ready to... I think this is going to be a fast push onto Site A. Mr. Tabs wrapping around to the left side. Maybe going to open up the wall. Incendiary toss by Chaotic. Unfortunately, not the best positioning, but look at this. Red Panda has actually purchased a rifle here on the second round, and it's a big super eco from Acer EU. So this could potentially be a double round win from Chaotic.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, they're going to have to do their best to not lose any of their players. It's all going to be with how little Acer has spent investing in this round. You really don't want to lose anybody if you're Chaotic.
Galaxy catches Tabs. Likely on the rotation as there's a nice pickup from Zadia. The BMP plant is coming down. Akira's on the short corner. A nice nade toss to the back end. Catches. Big damage, and down goes Evil Stick, but not before EMP's planted. Akira is playing the stealth ops position, still tucked in, waiting for the defuse, spins their trap and catches one. Another trade on the backside, and a 1-for-2. It ends up going into the 1v2. That goes the way of Chaotic, and their second point, Bob, locked in. That rifle maybe paying off more than they were anticipating that round, because quite frankly, like you're saying, that was an Acer eco. So I think Acer may have done more damage to Chaotic there at the end of the day by locking in 3 kills off of the pistol eco round, and they're going to go into round 3 with the ability to full buy. There's not going to be anybody that doesn't have the money. In similar fashion, Chaotic are also going to be able to full buy, and so we go into what is maybe arguably a normal round 3 meta round where everyone has the money they need, and we're expecting to invest in to the action here. But I think one thing that's not normal, Bob, is Chaotic are leading 2-0 against Acer EU in the postseason.
All right, this is the big tie. The big equalizer here. Both teams now able to full buy, get the utility that they want, and we're going to really see. Maybe it was just the pistol round in the follow-up round. Because again, Acer EU picked up a lot of kills in that previous round. They only had 2 chaotic players left alive.
Yep.
And that was a big super rig. I think 4 of them were running Jespers. So that could be a sign of what's to come. But ultimately, I was very pleased with the way Chaotic played there because, again, they are playing off of each other. They are not letting kills go unanswered. If somebody dies, there's always a refrag there. And if there's one Acer EU player, they're doubling up, sometimes tripling up on that player. That's what you want to be doing here because this is the best in EU. So you just have to make it an unfair fight, 3 against 1. That's really, if you can dissect their team like that, then they could be on track to getting a very successful map 1 here.
Nice, Nate. Toss to the back line and Tabs with a beautiful headshot on the Xenos, who was getting aggressive on a lean peek on that angle. That's definitely going to be a big kill. Opens up the ability for the EMP plant, which is already down. And now it's up to a big flank from Seal. That's not going to pay off if they don't catch Rise, who was diligently waiting. Galaxy alone in their effort to retake, trying to push through the smoke, catching lots of damage. And Blind, and then Zadia finishes things off. And now Acer say, hey, we let you have 2. But we're back. 5 alive on offense. And their first point on the board. Just took them a little time, Bob.
Yeah, again,
the
a lot of people were. You look in the chat and chalk Acer. Acer is, they have to disband. Remember that we are at the beginning of the game, and Chaotic were able to find a good pistol round, a good follow up, but Acer EU were running pistols, and so now that they had some rifles in their hands, that was very, very controlled. They knew exactly how they wanted to play that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Chaotic, we didn't see them play off of each other that round, and we'll see if they can continue to keep up this offensive momentum from Acer. But Chaotic are going to be ecoing here heavily, and it could quickly become a tie for Acer.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an easy round, and one that they're going to have to kind of give to Chaotic if Chaotic want to get that 3-1 lead. And I mean, I just love to see already a shift in standard buys and round-to-round purchasing, and 2 Maruis are in effect here with Tabs and Akira holding down long-range angles. You can see Akira on the back end of this offense, waiting for anyone to peek out, utilizing the range of that Marui to its advantage.
Good intel coming in from the drone player, and I feel like we're going to see Acer EU just commit to that B push this time around. They tried to rotate to A, pistol, didn't really work. We'll see if they can collapse onto B here, although Chaotic are pretty well set up across the board. They've got a roamer downstairs, that's Malagar. Obviously, Acer are going to go and try and check that, and it is still going to be that A push. They're going to try the play again. Akira and VR Zaida catch Malagar. They're doubling up here. And you see Acer are just using Chaotic's own approach against them. There goes the wall opened up. Nub Seal looks to push up towards the door as Red Panda on the flank found Zaida. Nub Seal looking for stick, and they find it. The EMP has once again been denied, and that fire going to make it a little bit difficult for them to approach it, but EMP has been planted, and it's now a 2 versus 3, but ultimately, we have seen some good picks come out here from Chaotic.
Oof, big damage on the nade on the back end there. Panda holding down with the pistol, and yeah, I mean, 2 kills on the eco round is a net positive at the end of the day. So regardless of the outcome of this round, Chaotic have done damage and impacted the economy just a touch of Acer. Oof, Tab's not going to let that one come through with the Marui V Spectre, and ultimately Acer tie things up 2-2. The EU squad saying, look, we're undefeated for a reason. We can deal with a little adversity, and just because they didn't have the opening they were hoping for doesn't mean that they can't refocus. Now, I'm curious on your thoughts, the chat's perspective, everything, but I don't see Dam. I guess I don't really know what Dam is. Offensive, defensive sided. I imagine Dam to probably be maybe one of the more even split maps we have, where you typically see it go 3-3. Overtime, something I'm familiar with on Dam, and so I do, or not, I guess not overtime, ties, but overtime could definitely be in the cards. It's early to say, though. Acer are definitely in a rhythm now, and we get another full buy round, as we do get, I guess partial. Two Vezins and 3 Omens on the defensive end for Chaotic. And obviously Acer continuing to ride the high of 2 wins in a row.
Yeah, another pretty decent save here from Chaotic. Nub and Xenos and Mr. Galaxy all opting to use those SMGs. So we'll see if they can get some picks onto Acer EU, kind of isolate some of their players and maybe pick up their gun. Hey, that could be a good recovery here from Chaotic. But to your point, Acer returned to form here. They said playtime's over. You know, you got your first 2 rounds, and we're now bringing it back all the way 110%. Mr. Tabs looking for a pick onto Xenos, but a decent smoke to cloud the vision of that offensive team. Now 2 minutes on the clock. VRZida looks to move into the break room. As we see, Mr. Galaxy is on the flank, and if they can hurry up with this roam, they may actually be able to do some damage.
Gonna breach through a site now. And like you said, it's gonna be all about the timing. When are they gonna push up? How long can they stall? Nice simulation nade to prevent any advancement up onto that emitter, making it difficult to work their way up, and ultimately buying time, and there's the flank getting shut down. Xavier very much ready for it. And a team like Acer, Bob, is gonna be ready for flanks. Unlikely to be caught by surprise, although nice little swing out there. Does get a 1-for-1. Now a quick refrag, though, keeps it in advantage of Acer as Chaotic are down to 2. Trying to hold down A site, make it just 1 as Red Panda's alone. Catches a 1 kill, but Rise with a slice of an angle over the top, scoops up the frag, and Acer are in the lead, 3-2.
And ultimately, I think a lot of the failure from that round from Chaotic, Mr. Galaxy just gave off too much audio, and Zyda heard that flanker. I think Zyda had almost convinced themselves that there wouldn't be a roamer, but that instinct, that your gut feeling that's telling that somebody's probably there behind you, gonna pinch, really saved Zyda in the end there, and ultimately they heard the audio and they found the pick and made it a very nice 3-2 round for Acer. And yeah, we're starting to see the momentum build up. Now Chaotic has 5 rifles across the board. We do see Malagar with the Cadillo, but that does still 1-tap to the head if they can hit those shots correctly. So we'll see if Chaotic can bounce back a little bit, but so far it looks like Acer found that footing, and they're just getting ready to go all the way here.
We are in to our last series of Group A, and Map 1 is delivering so far, Bob. I mean, Chaotic are here to play, and I love to see that coming in from the Challenger Cup winner. They are making this not an easy W for Acer EU, and I feel like Acer EU were coming in expecting maybe to just come out 5-0 on their offensive half.
2 minutes on the clock here. Round 6 says, yeah, Acer EU were probably expecting to make it a sweep, but Chaotic were here and made it a little bit more surprising for Acer EU. Malagar actually picks off VRZida here, and a good hold from Chaotic, but Mr. Tabs finds a pick, looking to make it a double. Mr. Galaxy doesn't find that kill. Malagar found one. Refragged as it's a 2 versus 3. Numbers in favor of Acer now no longer as Tabs drops the double, and it's a 1v1 between Mr. Tabs or Red Panda. And I actually have a little nickname that I call Mr. Tabs, Mr. Frags, because not only do they hit good grenades, they also get a lot of kills. They're 10-3 right now, and they have a double stim setup. Red Panda has to go and get that EMP defuse. They're going to tap. Oh, pros don't fake! Pros don't fake! No, don't fake it, Red Panda! Just stick the defuse! Stick the defuse! Uh-oh. And Tabs might push here, and I think Red Panda's just getting in their own head. And Tabs is going to look to potentially push here! And no, Ace! Oh my goodness! Mr. Tabs absolutely dominating this Chaotic lineup.
I mean, Chaotic were looking to go 3-3 on the half, Bob, against Acer EU. They kind of had it there for a moment, but it comes down to some big plays from Tabs at the end of the day, and this double kill to set them up for the 1v1 was really nice, transferring from one alleyway to the next, picking up the vital headshot there down the long lane, and Acer EU 4-2. We swap sides. We reset economies. And we take a look at the scoreboard to see where the KDs sit, because I do believe Tabs is the first one to get into double digits off of our first half and 6 rounds. 11-3, Bob. That's certainly one way to come out and perform when it comes time to be in the postseason.
Who would have thought that it would have gotten this close here between these two teams? Usually, we walk into this with the expectation that it's going to be that 14-0 sweep in favor of Acer EU, but no, Chaotic have really been putting on a lot of pressure here. And I think, if Red Panda had stuck that defuse, I think Mr. Tabs would have been a little bit too late. I always say, pros don't fake. Stick the defuse. Your opponent is gonna be anticipating you to tap it and then take the gunfight with you. But if you just surprise them by sticking the defuse and you get all 3 charges, you're gonna win the round. Even if you lose against the better player, it doesn't matter because you took the round with you.
I do appreciate Joshy in chat saying everyone like and sub to VRML. Wonderful game to open up the weekend, quite frankly, and we do appreciate Joshy and the team for playing on F3. Sad to see him go, but also happy to have such a great series to kick us off as we do get into a 1-for-1 trade on our pistol round.
Rise picked up a lot of damage from Nubseal there. Good frag. Tossed by, I believe that was Chaotic. Akira finds Malagar on the flank as we have a 3 versus 4. Nub is going to have to get in and get that EMP planted, but they don't have spectacular cover from their teammates as Akira finds Xenos. And it is a 2 versus 4 as Evil Stick gets ever closer on that flank. They're going to find Nub here. They almost find Nub. Nub's on 1 health, and they are getting pinched from multiple angles, but only a minute on the clock. Nub goes down. It's up to Red Panda. And this pistol round hasn't gone ideally for Chaotic. Obviously, they took the first 2 rounds of that first half. I think they took Acer by surprise, but
yeah.
This is the Acer EU that went 10-0, or excuse me, 10-0-2 throughout the entire season. I mean, this is why they are number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And it's not what you want if you're Chaotic. You don't want the Acer squad to get comfortable, because once they get comfortable, they start to get aggressive. And on defense here now, they're going to be confident, buying into a Marui, a couple of Omens, as is Chaotic, maybe recognizing the fact that they have their backs against the wall right now, at least in this first map, doing a pretty big investment into the SMGs. We've seen them eco, we've seen Acer eco, but when it comes down to it, when you're limited on the amount of rounds you have left to come back on, you got to kind of commit and take the risks, take the gamble. If they lose, they're going to be in bad shape, quite frankly. The next round's going to be rough, and could be the final round of the map. And so I guess maybe they're recognizing the do-or-die moment here for them, and that if they don't win here, they're not going to have a great shot anyway if they're down 6-2.
And this is why I love the meta changes, because again, risky moments like this. If they win here, they could absolutely do a lot of damage to the Acer economy, maybe secure some rifles for themselves, and potentially set themselves up for a good second half here. But if they lose, it could be kind of curtains for Chaotic here on map 1. Now we do see Zyda pushing through the hallway, looking for a pick, but they did not find one. And Nubseal foaming the wall. Chaotic looking to develop their push and attack Site A here. Malagar did some droning for their team, now approaching through security, and it looks like Chaotic are going to try and push Acer here. You know what? It's going to be tough, no matter which way you slice it, because they have Omens and rifles over on Acer. There goes one wall into Site A. A minute and a half on the clock now as an incendiary has been tossed, and Nubseal, lots of fire, but they managed to find the sweet spot, and they're looking to get that EMP down, but Mr. Tabs with the blind fire manages to get the kill. Evil Stick found one of their own. Tabs with a kill onto Xenos. Evil Stick found Mr. Galaxy, and it is that 5 versus 1. Red Panda unable to find it. Nightfire, it was a good run, but I don't know. I don't know if Chaotic can come back from this one.
At this stage, if they can just kill Tabs, they've got a chance. Well, we'll look at the KDs on the scoreboard, but Tabs
15
is
and 3.
15 and 3. The next highest person is Akira with 7 kills. So it is.
I know it's Red Panda. The 8 and
on
6.
Acer's team. On Acer's team.
I mean, Tabs has double the kills of Red Panda there, and I mean it's been a great. I mean they dropped an ace one round. So Tabs, if you can kill Mr. Tabs, you might be able to win the round.
That's what I'm saying. They are absolutely carrying this first map this afternoon, and there's no shame in that. Sometimes a player absolutely steps up to the task and can carry. That's the beauty of Breachers. It always has been. And I've always theory-crafted teams relying on one player to essentially get them their wins, and they support ancillary around like they essentially are right now with Tabs. And it's not easy to plan for and work with, but if it happens, then it happens, and sometimes it does with players that are at this high of a level, that are on the best teams in the EU region. And Tabs is definitely on one of, if not the best team in the EU region. They're undefeated for a reason, and they're looking at taking map 1 7-2 here if they can lock in this next defensive hold.
It's actually very interesting because surprisingly, Acer EU has not won a championship. When you really think about it, and this is something that was mentioned in our interview with them, which was played before the start of this game. Every season they have just been denied. All of their players have just been denied right as they make it to the end. So it would be, I think, a very welcome change if they could move to that number 1 spot. But we do see Mr. Tabs taking out Zeno. Says Rise's leg has been spotted by Red Panda. Mr. Galaxy follows up with a kill onto Stick. And it is a 4 versus 3 with numbers in favor of Chaotic.
I'm just staying on board Tabs because they've been the main element of Acer so far this afternoon. 16 and 3 right now as they picked up another kill on the round. Akira 8 and 3, equally as competitive as Rise catches a trip mine from the grave. Tabs finds a headshot on the Malaga, and Chaotic are down to just Nub Seal alone with an Oral and a 1v2 against the 2 dominating players of Acer so far on this map. Not an easy task, but doable, and it's clutch or kick for Nub Seal. Tabs gonna push up, gonna go on the hunt, and Tabs will lock in map number 1, and it's Acer EU advancing into that early series lead 1-0.
There he is, Mr. Tabs, the MVP of map 1.
Almost 20.
Almost dropping 20 there. I mean, what an incredible performance all around from Acer EU. And this is what people expected to see. Chaotic found those 2 rounds at the start, but this is the reality for the Challenger Cup winner. Your hardest matchup is still ahead of you.
Yeah.
It can be very, very tough for that Challenger Cup winner to thrive because you're playing the best of the best in that top 7, and it is that reality that there is a separation between the number 1 team and that number 8 team. But hey, we still have a second map to go. Plenty of opportunity here for Chaotic to bring it back.
And I mean, you look at Acer's record, there's ties there on their record. Maybe ones that they wish they didn't have, but they're against the 2 teams we just watched, F3 and Nexus. And if that shows you anything, it does mean that they do bleed. They aren't undefeated across the entirety of the season. Out of the 12 weeks, they've tied twice. So, if Chaotic can lock into a little bit of a rhythm like they did early, maybe they can find some more success against Acer EU. But yeah, map 2 going to be an interesting one. As Dam was, I think, an effort to throw Acer off, but clearly Tabs came prepared for the Dam series this afternoon and won the Dam map for Acer EU, quite frankly. So, again, congrats to Tabs, the MVP of that map. We are going to get into a bit of a side and swap management before we do get into our second map. So a brief moment to shout out our sponsors, Triangle Factory, contributing into the prize pool, which is $1,000 to first place, $700 to second, I believe. Let me double check that. $400 to second, $1,000 to first, $400 to second for the EU region. Thanks to Triangle Factory and their financial support to the VRML Into-App prize pool. We really do appreciate it. Also, we did just drop new merchandise on the Exclaim store. You can catch the NA and EU Top 8 shirts live right now. You can buy those and pick them up, and that money goes back to supporting the VRML. And we will be talking more about this, but we are at a point, especially at the new year leading into this year, where we really are going to be asking for more support coming in from you fine folks at home, but by doing it with cool things like this merchandise that I spent all week working on to get to. I'm pretty happy with the design at the end of the day. It's got the VRML Breachers Discord logo on the chest. It's got the sponsors of the season on the shoulder. And then it's got everyone that qualified into the top 8 on the back. A big shout out to Breachers for letting us do stuff like this with the merchandise. And ultimately, I cannot recommend it enough. Go check it out. We'll link it in the chat. But I stalled long enough, Bob, as we are now ready to get into another familiar space. Not so much Dam, but instead Hideout for map number 2. What do you think of this?
I love the old reliable. You know, Hideout is probably the map that's played the most in Breachers VRML. I might be wrong on that. Let me pull up the statistic page. But, you know, the teams understand this one. It's always thought to be very balanced for both sides. And, you know, we love to see it. It's actually the second most played map. 292 games have been played here. But, you know, we're going to see Acer EU. They're very strong here on Hideout. They're strong on every map that they play. This is one that Chaotic played in Challenger Cup. So both teams understand the map, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easier for Chaotic here, especially because Acer EU are going to be in an environment that they're quite familiar with.
Here we go into the action for map number 2, round 1. As Chaotic await the arrival towards A site, so it seems. Rise pushing up through the stairs and just all guesswork through the walls to see if they catch anything out. I don't know, Rise, if they were faking the foam plant there for a moment, but maybe they didn't want to grab their foam. And Ice Swing from Nub doesn't catch the kills, but does a little bit of damage onto both Rise and Tabs. And that static emitter is going to slow them down from entering into A.
Minute 50 on the clock here as a frag is tossed. And an instant as well. They're looking to deny the opportunity for Acer to get in and plant. But here's the thing, Acer are just going to be patient. They're just going to wait. And they have 2 frags and an incendiary, so they're going to cover off their swing once Rise goes to plant that EMP. Here's Mr. Galaxy on the flank. And there's Extrius shooting Mr. Galaxy, prepared for a flanker to show up. And here's a frag toss in the back of Site A. Xenos is routed, and they're low on health. 2 versus 5. Frags are tossed. It may catch Rise. It does. Estia frag from Red Panda as Tabs looks to finish off the plant. Extras finds 1. Zyda with the double. And there it is. Acer take the first round.
They're locked in, Bob. There's no way around it. And the Acer squad barreling through and doing fantastic. A confident team right now that is going to be hard to uproot. And you can see the coordination as they do make their final push in here, covering all the angles, suppressing Panda. Lines are locked in on Xenos, and EMP plant coming through all at the same time. It's what you expect from a team that's been playing as well as they have during the regular season and been playing consistently together. This isn't a team that's seen a lot of roster shakeups. They've been practicing all season long for this point, and you see that practice pay off with great coordination and round wins. We go into round 2 now with obviously them feeling confident, but not over-investing, Bob. We're only seeing a single Marui getting picked up.
Yeah, Acer really understands the economy here, and also you don't want to buy too many rifles, because if you lose one of your players to a random flanker or roamer, that's giving them the opportunity to steal that rifle and then use it against you. And they're very confident with their ability to just win their gunfights. as we see Chaotic have not really invested way too much into this round either, so Acer probably realized at this point they don't need a rifle, but it doesn't stop Nubsil from actually finding the kill. Mr. Tabs is able to get the refrag, and a number of quick kills for Acer make it a 4-2 game as we are less than 30 seconds into this round. Red Panda escapes the frag, but Acer are closing in hard and fast. Zenos picks up a lot of damage. Red Panda picks up a lot of damage, and they're getting pushed, and Rise will find that kill to make it a quick 2-0 game. Actually, Rise shot through their teammate and got the collateral on Red Panda.
Yeah, well, you got to win. And if there's one less alive, but you get the round to win, then that's what matters. And again, you're just seeing a dominant performance from Acer here as they kind of barrel through onto this site. And Tabs swapped out the Marui for an Oral to optimize their initial investment there and minimize the risk on that round when they did go in. And that Oral paid off. You know, you can hear the bubble effects coming in for maybe one of my favorite skins that Triangle Factory's put in the game. And again, a brief moment to shout them out because, well, I guess maybe alongside that is the Season 3 finalist skin. I love the red design. It's what these players are going to be representing. Hopefully we'll see it in the Final Four, but I don't know if it'll be in people's hands by then. But regardless, it is a great design, and all thanks to the support from Triangle Factory, allowing those in-game cosmetics, and it's awesome. I love what they've done with the game, with the design, with the meta changes, and I can't wait to see how things are going to shift over the course of future seasons.
Definitely shout out. There's 3 bundles that you can purchase from Triangle Factory, and all 3 of them are really cool. Love the designs on the guns and the custom sounds and firing effects. Very, very cool. But yeah, I love to see the way that the game is changing. We had charms added this season. You might be hearing them. I don't know if Nightfire has his charm sound effects on, but another great feature added. Xenos, by the way, is taken out immediately by Mr. Tabs, who's just diving into the site, and their over-aggression is finally turned into a death for them as Red Panda drops the incendiary, and it was a heroic sacrifice, but ultimately we're into a 3 versus 2. Extras and Gradma both upstairs. Excuse me, yeah, 3 versus 2. Gradma up on the second floor. They're quite low on health. They're going to look to get that EMP planted, but Mr. Galaxy and Malagar are going to have a very tough time pulling out this round, especially as VR Zyda finds one. They know where the second is. It's up to Malagar, and Zyda with a perfect read there. Extras, however, will find the kill, and it's a hat trick for Acer.
A couple of subs for the old Acer squad as they do rotate in a few more of their roster, kind of flexing on their future opponents, Bob. Honestly, I mean, they're showing, hey, look, we're Acer EU. We just dominated map 1. We're going to throw in a couple of changes to our roster and show you that even the other folks that we have are as strong, or maybe even more so, because they are looking even more confident here, Bob, in this second map. They are really pushing in strong. There's no real hesitation on their advancement through, and it doesn't feel like there's a lot of stress or concern in Acer's movements. They are, at this point, really kind of giving Chaotic a welcome to the postseason moment, and you know, it's tough. It's no joke to be the Challenger Cup winner. You know, we've talked about it, but you battle a super long weekend of games, Saturday and Sunday, and you feel so triumphant off of that victory that it's got to be tough to then carry into the knowledge that you're going to go up against the hardest opponent in the league, you know. And I think they started off strong with that early 2 points, but since then it's been 10 unanswered points from Acer as they've settled into their rhythm, and we go into round 4.
It's very much, you know, a shock to the teams. Again, you know, you're off the high from winning the CC. And it is one of the unfortunate parts of seeding here, but it is how it is. Acer EU are just that dominant team, and Chaotic, you know, if they weren't playing Acer, they'd have to play against Acer at one point or another. So this is what we call a welcome to the postseason moment. But
if it was any other team in the group stage, it would be F3 or Nexus, and they both tied Acer. So I think there was no easy route no matter where you went on that
Yeah.
EU top 8, quite frankly. But here we go. Acer planting, already caught a kill, and a little bit of utility coming to counter the EMP plant and stall it for a couple seconds longer.
Minute 20 on the clock, and Acer, they're just playing the patient game. They've been doing this the whole time. They know, we'll wait out the util. You're going to tap the EMP. Somebody's going to throw a frag. Exactly. Perfect read by Rise. And now they realize, okay, all the utilities has been expended. Let's go get the plant, and Mr. Tabs covering the swing there. VR Zeta dropped a double. Tabs found another kill. And it looks like we will be in for a quick second map here. Acer are just really back on top, and they said, okay, we'll let you have 2 rounds there, and that's it.
Yeah, I think maybe there's like a brief moment of hope for Nexus, who beat F3 in that 2-map series, and they're like, oh, maybe Acer is looking a little bit less competitive than we were anticipating, but not the case. That's for sure. Acer are here to play this afternoon, and ultimately the 2 winners of the Group B stage are going to be the ones that are going to go up against Acer. One of those teams, I think the second place team goes up against Acer based on seeding, and so either way, there's still that looming threat of Acer ahead for these teams, and it's looking like that's going to continue to be there. But 3 more points to go, and we'll see what Chaotic can put together. A reminder that after this, we do have the North American top 8 starting at 2:30 p.m. PST with the pre-show. That's 5:30 EST. We'll dive into some exclusive.
Hold on, I don't know if
interviews.
that's. I think it's actually an hour earlier. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it begins at 4:30 p.m. EST, so 1:30 PST. But yeah, it will be a ton of fun. We'll get to see Valor versus Havoc, and actually the winner of this matchup on the subject of that is going to play Nexus next. So Extras finds a kill on Malagar. Malagar actually found Tabs before going down, and Rise getting a kill with the Incendiary as we enter a 4-2 game with just a minute 50 on the clock.
Oh yeah, I forget we're into the bracket stage. I'm still used to group stages. Apologies on that.
Oh, here we go. The minute 40, Nub Seal and Red Panda, both holding down the fort for Chaotic, but Acer's taken so much space here. Rise picks up some damage from Frag, but they're not out of commission yet. Red Panda and Nub Seal just taking turns, trying to hold down the angle, stall for as long as possible, but as their health gets lower, the push starts to collapse in on the site, and Nubseal has got to run away and stay in the safety of Site A. And here we go. Maybe they can get a quick jump kill off of Zyda. No, it doesn't happen. Rise was there to defend their teammate and make it a 5-0 game.
I mean, at this point on this map, the time between rounds might be longer than time in round. I mean, we have these minute-long setup phases and then 30 seconds of gameplay where Acer just comes sprinting in to the objective space. And yeah, it's definitely Acer in a rhythm now. But excited for more EU action, obviously, also. Today we have more NA, but tomorrow we dive back into this with more of our single elimination bracket. We go down into that second pair of matches. And who is playing tomorrow, Bob? We got to start looking forward to the EU battles on Sunday.
So tomorrow we are starting with 2 and 7 and then 3 and 6. So the number 2 team is Berserk. They're facing off against Niffin. That's the first match. And then immediately after that is going to be Sunset Ravens versus Cheeky Breachy. That's going to be the second and final matchup of EU for tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned because today we've got some good matchups, but tomorrow those are going to get very, very good, especially that Sunset Ravens Cheeky Breachy with how close they are in proximity in the standings.
Yeah, I think we're going to get an F3 Nexus kind of replica on that one, and could be a really fun battle there. But Acer pushing in, utility coming flying in from the Tabs. They continue to dominate in the map 2, 9 and 2. On their push up. They'll catch the elbow of Galaxy and try and transfer for more. As the shots come over the top, and Malagar gets absolutely flashed. Rise will be the one that drops down the hatch and catches the kill. Xenos takes a shot to the head that cuts him down to half HP. And the push on the site unfolds with a double kill from Tabs to lock in a perfect offensive Acer EU half. At this point, Chaotic are likely resigning to their fate, but it is now down to the pistol round, and we're on to series point. It has been 13 unanswered points, Bob, since Acer EU have started to win.
You know, this is kind of what I call the Acer effect. When you play a team, and it makes me think of this mixed scrim I did against Acer. I had a couple of really good players on my team, and we were going up against the full Acer lineup. But it's very similar here in Acer EU. They just sprint into the site, they stomp your team, and it just happens again and again and again and again. It can be very, very demoralizing. I think Chaotic have thrown everything they have in the book at Acer EU, but it's very, very difficult to continue to stay optimistic when you are just losing in the first. You know, it's like you said, we're spending more time in the buy phase and the setup phase than we are actually watching the teams play. It can be very, very difficult to just stay ahead of your game when you're like this. We do see Nub, Seal, Red Panda, they're dropping in, and it's aggressive play, but Mr. Tabs took themselves out with reverse friendly fire, but not before taking out one. Xenos finds Grandma. Here comes a flank from the family room balcony, and it was actually a decent start from Chaotic. We'll see. It would be nice if they didn't get completely shut out by Acer EU, but here comes the map wrap as Red Panda is waiting, anticipating Extras looking to pinch and find some kills here. Rise with the double, and it's now just down to Xenos, the last hope for their team. They're looking, and no, they go down, and Acer EU walk right into that next round. They're going to the semifinals where they're playing against Nexus next weekend. Very solid job from Acer EU.
And it's what the folks at home anticipated. A 2-map series win and done in quick succession. I think some folks said 14-4. I did see 14-2 called out. And that's the end scoreline for Acer EU. They'll advance on, and like you said, they'll be going up against Nexus next weekend. We'll be diving into that series first thing Saturday next weekend, so do be sure to tune in then. But we also obviously have North America later today, and then more EU tomorrow. We've got some big games that you're not going to want to miss. You got to tune in, same time, same place, 9 a.m. PST, 12 Eastern for the start of EU. And like I said, North America starts at 1:30 p.m. PST, 4:30 Eastern if you want to get more Breachers action in your bones. We've got more exclusive interviews debuting there for all the North American teams, and so you're not going to want to miss it. It's got all the bells and whistles of what you saw here this afternoon, and I think it's going to be some great battles, just like we had here on the EU side today. So hats off to the EU squads for playing. Hats off to everyone for tuning in. A quick shout out to our sponsors, Triangle Factory, for supporting the VRML and making Season 3 a reality and enabling us to do this again this season. A big shout out to them for supporting us with the in-game cosmetics, because Season 3's skin is tight, and we cannot appreciate their support enough across the board for VRML operations. Obviously, we're also sponsored by Pro2 VR. Fantastic stock options that help stabilize your game. You can your aim in game. You can actually buy the VRML Con stock that we showed off at VRML Con. You can buy that stock right now at pro2vr.com, and that goes back in part to supporting the VRML, so you're helping VRML in its operations, just like you are if you go and pick up the shirts right now. The top 8 shirts exclusive on Exclaim. We've linked them in the chat. That your purchases there, again, go back to supporting VRML in our operations. And so we really do need and appreciate all of the support that you can give and want to give, and we're trying to give you some cool stuff to get in return. And I'm happy, real happy with the t-shirt design. I'm going to have to pick up one myself, quite frankly. So, but I think that's going to be it for us here in the EU side. Like I said, we'll be back.
Just one more shout out that I wanted to get in the way is a big thank you to all of the teams who volunteered their time to be interviewed. We were able to get every single team, including the Challenger Cup winners this season, and so thank you all to who participated in the interviews. It was a pleasure meeting all of you and talking to all of you, and just really appreciate that we were able to provide this kind of content before these games. So big thank you again.
Yep. Reminder to tune in later today and tomorrow for more action, but that's it for us. My name has been Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster, Gibular Bob. We'll see you in a few hours, or until next time, stay classy. Reacher's VRML is brought to you by Helga, the esports manager, Triangle Factory. Thanks for watching VRML.